Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's 7 minutes past the hour at 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and this is The Drive. So glad you're with us on the second day of April. This is a day where you need to keep the radio on, and you need to pay attention to the weather. And we had a little front that sort of came through, a little line of showers that came through, and everybody thought, well, that wasn't too bad, and it wasn't too bad. But that's not the one they're worried about. As I understand it, I'm not a meteorologist. I just fake being one on the radio. But as I understand it, there is a second line of thunderstorms that will be moving into the area between now and about dinner time. And it's that one that seems to be the one that they're very concerned about, as it is associated with a cold front. And when that cold front pushes through, I don't know how it is where you are, but where I'm at here in bucolic Watertown, the air seems sort of warm and moist. And maybe it's different where you are, but that's the way it feels. Those two things don't go well together. And so we could be having a thunderstorm, severe thunderstorms. We could have some hail. We could have some heavy rain. We could have some winds. And it's entirely possible, they say, that conditions are right for tornadoes. Now, we're in a watch, not a warning, a watch, which means that conditions are right. And we'll stay on top of it. As it looks right now, I mean, no big, huge problems. There is a line of thunderstorms out near Paris, Tennessee, that is sort of developing now, seems to be gaining some strength. And it may link up with that cold front, and that's the one, really honestly, to keep your eye on. So we'll keep our eye on it right now, and we're going to move on. We got a lot of stuff to cover, and since we do have sort of a lull before the storm, I'm going to try to cover a lot of ground between now and the time the storms hit. And we'll start with election 24 because, man, I'm telling you, it is getting interesting. And the Democrats are squirming. I mean, they are nervous. It's understandably why. I mean, look, the Hispanic voters are abandoning the Democrat Party. Black voters are abandoning the Democrat Party. And then most recently, there's some surveys out there that suggest that young voters are not going to vote for Joe Biden in any way. And, I mean, they are really bleeding voters over there on the Democrat side. And a lot of people are looking at that and saying, wow, we've never had to deal with this kind of thing before. Young people, some of them are disgruntled over, the economy. Some of them are disgruntled over, foreign policy that the Biden administration has promulgated. One way or the other, it's sort of fun to watch when Democrats get upset. James Carville, who in this video looked like maybe he had a nice adult beverage before he sat down before the camera. I don't know. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But one way or the other, he says that what is happening with young voters leaving the Democrat Party, he said the numbers are, well, his word was horrifying.
I've been very vocal about this. It's horrifying. Our numbers among younger voters, particularly younger blacks, younger Latinos, or whatever, but whatever younger people of color, particularly males.
Typically,
we're not shedding them. They're leaving in the droves.
That is pretty answer that last part.
We're not shedding them. They're leaving in the droves.
And so he's a little upset. He's a little upset. Excuse me. Stop, James. No, I don't need you anymore. Thank you. I'm done. He is. He's very concerned about it. From the Daily Caller, former Bill Clinton campaign strategist James Carville expressed concerns on Sunday about the number of young voters, a key voting bloc for Democrats that are leaving the party. President Joe Biden was supported by 52% of Americans aged 18 to 34, while former President Donald Trump received support from 48% of the crucial Democrat voting bloc in February polling data. This is a major difference from past elections, including 2020, which Carville called an alarming development. And it is, because, that means that those numbers were very much slanted in the other direction. Younger voters are key to Biden's coalition in 2020. They found that 59% of voters 18 to 29 voted for him in the 2020 presidential election, and Trump received 33%. Some polling indicated Biden's recent weakness among younger voters is linked to the president's handling of the conflict between Israel and terrorist group Hamas, with young people perceiving him to be pro-Israel. I don't understand why young people have decided that Hamas is the side to be on here. He said, I think this issue is deep. I think it's a lot deeper than just progressive advocates or young people on college campuses. Carville asserted about the Middle East war in February. I hope the president can get some kind of ceasefire and take this off the front burner. Well, I'll tell you something. This is what bothers me and concerns me a great deal. Traditionally, the United States has been a strong ally of Israel. And for some reason, after they got attacked, everybody thinks that they shouldn't do what they need to do to protect their long-term security. I don't understand that. I don't get it. I think Israel has every right to respond. They didn't start it, but they sure as hell can finish it. And I hope they do. But one way or the other, that doesn't sit well with young voters for some reason. And so what will happen, and this is not good, is that the Biden administration will make its foreign policy decisions based not on what is right for America, but what is right for the Biden campaign. And you need to watch out for that. Significant advantage that the Democratic Party held over Republicans with black Americans in general and Hispanic Americans aged 18 to 29 has declined nearly 20% in the last 3 years, according to Gallup data. In other words, black voters, Hispanic voters, and especially young voters of color have apparently decided that they don't like the way that the Biden administration is going for them, and they're ready to do something about it. Meanwhile, I'm sorry, we have to talk about, Hillary Clinton. Twice failed presidential candidate Hillary Clinton told voters worried about the forthcoming rematch between Trump and Biden to get over themselves. She appeared on The Tonight Show with host Jimmy Fallon, who just, by the way, slobbered all over her. Big wet kiss for Hillary Clinton by Jimmy Fallon. And here is what he said. Here's what happened when Hillary was asked, about the people who can't decide how they're going to vote.
But it's Biden versus Trump.
Yes,
we know that.
It is. It is.
What do you say to voters who are upset that those are the two choices?
Get over yourself. Those are the two choices.
Yeah, I love that.
Right? And
good.
It's kind of like one is old and effective and compassionate, has a heart, and really cares about people, and one is old and has been charged with 91 felonies.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
okay. Interesting.
I don't understand why this is even a hard choice. Really, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But we have to go through the election, and hopefully, people will realize what's at stake because it's an existential question. What kind of country we're going to have, what kind of democracy we're going to have, and people who blow that off are not paying attention because it's not like Trump, his enablers, his empowerers, his allies are not telling us what they want to do. I mean, they're pretty clear about what kind of country they want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Get out there and vote.
Well, listen, that was a pretty big sort of Jimmy Fallon kiss to the Democrat Party. But let me tell you, I agree with her on one thing. This is an important election, and a lot of things are at stake here. I don't agree with 99.9% of the things that the Biden administration has decided are important in this whole process. And I'm telling you, I do think it's, when they talk about the 99 felonies, you know what? I don't even think that number is accurate anymore because some of the things have been dropped. And some of these cases, I don't think are ever going to come to full fruition. So you can say that, but at some point, I think most people look at it and say, what has happened in that regard is a weaponization of the legal system. RFK Jr. has said on an interview on CNN Monday night, that was last night, that he believes that Biden is a bigger threat to democracy than is Trump. Because the CNN anchor tried to make that case, and RFK, he wasn't going to have any of that. He seemed bound and determined to sort of make the other argument that perhaps Biden is the greater threat, not Trump.
But do you really believe that when people talk about the threat to democracy that Trump poses, do you really think that that is an equal evil to Biden?
I mean, listen, I can make the argument that President Biden is a much worse threat to democracy. And the reason for that is President Biden is the first candidate in history, the first president in history that has used the federal agencies to censor political speech, so to censor his opponent. I can say that because I just won a case in the Federal Court of Appeals and now before the Supreme Court. It shows that he started censoring not just me. For 37 hours after he took the oath of office, he was censoring me. No president in the country has ever done that. The greatest threat to democracy is not somebody who questions election returns, but a president of the United States who used the power of his office to force the social media companies, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, to open a portal and give access to that portal to the FBI, to the CIA, to the IRS, to CISA, to NIH, to censor his political critics. President Biden, for the first president in history, to use his power over the Secret Service to deny Secret Service protection to one of his political opponents for political reasons. He's weaponizing the federal agencies.
Well, I think we agree with RFK on a lot of that for sure. RFK does pull more from Biden than he does from Trump. I have some real problems with RFK Jr. As a candidate because I believe that many people who I think have libertarian leanings sort of like some of the stuff that he puts out there. I get all that, but as a conservative, I have much trouble with the things that he believes. And, I'm happy for him to be out there right now. And it seems to me when I look at the polling numbers, and I'm not going to bore you with any of that today, but the polling numbers basically continue to show when you have Trump versus Biden, it's one thing. When you add the other names in, and usually the names that are used in the polling right now are RFK Jr., West, and Stein. And when you add those in there, then they take away some more from Biden, and Trump does better. Trump wins by a larger margin in most of the polls that you see. The Biden administration now is really gearing up to go after what they call the Haley voters. Shouldn't be hard since most of them were Democrats anyway. I mean, it shouldn't be such a hard sell. But President Biden's campaign is doubling down on courting former Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley's supporters, writes TheHill.com, targeting a potential weak spot for former President Trump going into the general election. Haley supporters and Trump critics have pointed to the 40% of the votes he won in the South Carolina primary as evidence of cracks in Trump's Republican base of support. Look, when you look at Haley, you got to understand that there are a certain number of Republicans who just can't bring themselves to vote for Donald Trump. These are what we call the never Trumpers. They just can't do it. They're a Republican of a different ilk. They are not MAGA Republicans. They are just Republicans who look at things in a rather more or establishment way. And so there's some of that. And then the other part that made up Haley, what people who were Democrats who crossed over. Many of them were Democrats. And she picked up some of the middle. There's no doubt about that. So, go after those folks. That'll be fine. But I think the vast majority that you're going to pick up are not going to be Republicans. I think they're going to be Democrats who you always had all along. They were just messing around in the primary process. Very quickly, I just want to bring this to your attention. Larry Hogan, the former Republican governor of Maryland. Well, he's sort of a Republican. He's a very moderate Republican. And I know him. And it was nice to have a Republican governor in Maryland because Democrats outnumber Republicans in that state something like 3-1. But he's running for the United States Senate in Maryland right now. And it's looking good. He's beating all of the prospective Democrat candidates in one poll by a little and another poll by a bit more. And wouldn't it be something if the state of Maryland became a Republican state or had a Republican senator? It won't be a Republican state for sure, but as a Republican senator, that would be really something and like a gift when you're trying to overturn the people who are in control of the of the Democrat-controlled Senate. 21, call it 22 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
A new tornado watch now in effect in Middle Tennessee until 9 p.m. We're being weather aware here today. Plus, border security, 3:30, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Well, there's Mac Morey with all your stories. He's weather aware today, keeping one eye on the news, one eye on the weather, and we'll break in if there's anything we need to know. Of course, you just jump in there and stop me mid-sentence if necessary, because nothing is more important than keeping people alert to the weather. No, not now.
Oh, dang it, okay.
I know, you can't cry wolf like that. So listen, we had some thunderstorms. Well, they're moving through now. I mean, there are thunderstorms moving through the Nashville area, but these were, okay. They were thunderstorms. Nothing. I mean, a lot of lightning earlier today here in bucolic Watertown. But that we are told that's not the one to watch. That there will be a second front developing, and as I'm looking now at the radar, it looks like there's a line of showers developing out about Paris, Paris, Tennessee, that runs all the way down to nearly Memphis. And then there's another line that's sort of developing somewhere around, I'm trying to see where that is. Well, I would say it's north of Centerville. That is developing. And so these are the ones to watch as the afternoon goes on. What we are told, and again, I'm not a meteorologist. I know a little bit about it, but it's all self-taught stuff. But what I'm told is that you have a situation here today where the conditions are very ripe for some kind of potential tornadic activity. So listen, between now and about dinner time, you need to keep the radio on and remain weather aware and understand that we're watching it like a hawk. And if there's anything you need to know, you're going to hear it right here on Super Talk 99.7. If you have a radio that, you charge it up. You have a radio that needs some batteries, put some fresh batteries in it, because this could be that kind of storm. It may also be that, that we get through this thing without too much. But it's on the bubble, and it could go either way, it seems to me. And I do see this line of thunder showers out west really starting to develop in a way that could be very concerning if it continues to grow as it approaches the metro area. So we're all over that. As I mentioned before, Mac Morey will jump in if there's anything to say. Chris Webber is in the control room today, ably handling all the blinky buttons and making sure that go. And we have the extra added bonus today that Matt Murphy says he'll help out if things really start popping.
We really have to deal with that guy?
No, he's a good guy, and I'm happy to have him. He's very good at that kind of stuff.
He's still hanging around right now.
Is he really?
Oh yeah, he's in there. I don't know if he's he's just goofing off right now. But.
Is he just goofing? He's not paying attention to us yet?
No, not paying any attention at all.
All right. Well,
now he is. He's looking. We locked eyes, so I think he knows we're talking about him.
We are talking,
but he can't hear me because he put his headphones away. Look, he's looking for another.
I'll have him step in when he gets hooked up. Hey,
what are you doing with headphones? What's going on, man?
He's sitting down.
Oh, now
wait a minute. What do you mean? What am I doing with headphones? I just sometimes, Brian, I look up and Chris Webber's staring at me intently from the other room, and I thought that's a stare that I know.
What damn good are you if you don't have your headphones on? I mean, come on.
I was just over here resting my eyes, listening to Brian Wilson.
Sure.
Well, anyway, we mentioned that you are sticking around until we if things develop, you'll jump in.
I'm here.
And if things fade. Which I don't know. I don't think it's going to fade. But if they fade, then you can go home.
Well, I am anxiously anticipating your official "it's fading" announcement. When I hear the words, "I think it's fading," I'll know I can jump in the truck.
When I say I think we're done.
Head to Mount Juliet. I'm here for you when you need me.
All right. Keep those headphones out, buddy.
Okay, I got them.
All right. Don't pack them away just yet. We're not done with you yet. All right. 3:30 now. Time for the news.
30 minutes after the hour of 3 o'clock, I'm Mac Morey with your top story. 71 degrees, cloudy in Nashville. Got a new tornado watch in effect in Middle Tennessee. This is until 9 p.m. No chance for overnight severe weather. That'll all be passed by no later than 10 p.m. in this region of the mid-state. We're expecting the front of the storm around this area to hit about 5, maybe a little later, 5:30. You got a weather forecast traffic report on the way in 5 minutes. At today's White House briefing, National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby said Republican lawmakers are standing in the way of immigration reform and border security by not bringing legislation that would add Border Patrol agents to a vote.
To folks that are concerned about border security, the president will be the first one to stand up here and say he agrees that the border does need some security capabilities, that we do need more Border Patrol agents. And all that has to happen is for the speaker to do his job, put that supplemental on the floor. Let's get a vote. Let's get those 1,300 additional Border Patrol agents down there to do their job.
Here in Tennessee, a Sebastian Rogers update. The Sumner County Sheriff's Office held a press conference today discussing the ongoing search for 15-year-old Rogers. The teen's been missing for 6 weeks now. Officials say that there's still no evidence of foul play or that a crime is involved in this incident. Investigators did find a pair of glasses. They're trying to figure out now whether or not they were Sebastian's. Rogers has been missing since February 26th. And President Biden will host a small group of Muslim leaders behind closed doors at the White House tonight to discuss issues of importance to the community, followed by a small iftar dinner with Muslim staffers. Karen Travers.
It's a much more scaled-down gathering to mark Ramadan than previous years, when President Biden would invite hundreds of people to the White House for a reception and deliver remarks in front of reporters. Tonight's dinner with Vice President Harris, Muslim senior administration officials, and senior members of his national security team isn't even on the president's public schedule. The event comes as the Biden administration is facing fierce criticism from some Muslim Americans over U.S. support for Israel in its war against Hamas. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre called tonight's gathering a working group meeting.
And that is the latest news. Traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
You know, we have had some recent wet weather, and you may find around your home that you've got problems, waterproofing problems, and the folks at USS are here to help you. I mean, look around. Do you have standing water in your crawl space? Wet basement walls, musty odor, or floor joists with wood rot? How about cracks in basement floors or hardwood floors that are cupping because of the moisture? You see, these are all signs that your house is trying to tell you something. You need to call the good people at United Structural Systems. They have more than 25,000 satisfied residential customers. They will come out, they'll assess your situation, they'll give you their best advice, and if you decide to go forward with it, you don't pay a penny until the job is done and you are completely satisfied. That's what they want. They want complete satisfaction. So listen, just give them a call and get them to come on out. They're happy to do that. And again, so well reviewed by people. Here's the number, 615-488-7855. Learn more online at ussTN.com. It is 38 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. We're bringing you news and information you can use here on the drive. And then we're also keeping one eye on the weather. Mac Morey's watching. We got Matt Murphy also standing by. Should we need, when things start to pop and it gets a little hectic, we'll have plenty of people to tackle the problem. That's what we do here at Super Talk 99.7. One of the things that's wonderful is that we all crash the boards when things get busy. We all hook up, dial in, show up, and get it done so that you get complete coverage. And then it's really I think one of the things that we do best here at Super Talk 99.7 is jumping in and supporting one another when there is breaking news. Right now, we're on a tornado watch until dinner time, or actually later tonight. And we've got some thunder showers moving through, but they say that the worst has not yet arrived, that maybe 4, 5, 6 o'clock this evening, we could really have some action. So stay weather aware and stay tuned right here to Super Talk 99.7. On Sunday, as you know, we've talked about it on the news endlessly. There was a shooting at the Roasted Restaurant Easter Sunday. One person dead and several other people were injured. And they are looking for a guy by the name of Anton Rucker, age 46, suspected of injuring 5 and killing 1. The person who died, we should mention his name, Alan Beecham, age 33. Now, Rucker is now one of Tennessee's most wanted, according to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, and they're putting out all kinds of information about him. He's 6 foot tall, 208 pounds, black hair, brown eyes, should be considered armed and dangerous. The Bureau has asked for anyone who has spotted him to call 615-862-8600. There is a $2,500 reward for information leading to his arrest. Rucker was arrested in Rutherford County last fall on an aggravated assault charge and a felony drug charge, according to court records. These cases have court hearings scheduled for, tomorrow. He's supposed to be in court tomorrow. Somehow I have a feeling he won't be there. Rucker is out of jail on a combined, are you ready? What are the charges here? This just seems aggravated assault, felony drug charges. He's out on a $50,000 bond. Now, I don't know if you, the law-abiding citizens within the sound of my voice, have ever had to post a bond. I have not. But I do know enough about it that generally you put down 10%. So he got out on $5,000. He had to put $5,000. He's not supposed to, of course, have a gun. And there's all kinds of things in this guy's past. Rucker has a criminal history in Davidson County going back to 1995, according to court records. He's been convicted of a number of felonies, including illegal drug possession, 2 counts of evidence tampering, evading arrest, and 5 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. He's also been convicted of some misdemeanor charges. Authorities charged Rucker with attempted first-degree murder in 2000, but listen, here it comes. He pled guilty to lesser charges and served a 6-year sentence concurrent with another case. In 2008, he opened fire after an argument and sent a woman to Vanderbilt University Medical Center in critical condition, Channel 4 reported. He was then reportedly sentenced to serve 8 years, but was released on parole in 2012. 2 years later, Rucker was charged with assaulting a police officer, convicted of a lesser assault charge, and paroled again in 2018. Detectives are working to uncover a motive for the Easter Sunday shooting. Police have recovered the car that the gunman used to flee the scene. That much in his background. Number one, why would somebody who's done all of that time and has such a history of violent behavior and convicted on it, why would you let somebody like that on a $50,000 bond in which he only had to pony up $5,000? Why? Why would you do that? These are the things that keep bothering me about these criminal cases that we hear in Nashville, is that, people get arrested and they go to jail. They get plea deals and they plead to some kind of lesser charge. Maybe they do some time, but they get out early, they get paroled, and they're back out on the streets. But you knew about his history. when you brought him into court on these latest charges, and you gave him a $50,000 bond. Listen. I think, and then and while he's out, according to police, he killed another man and injured 5 others. I mean, somebody like that should not be out in public. This is a violent, repeat criminal who should never have been released on a $50,000 bond. How does that happen? How does that happen? Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell responded to the Easter Sunday shooting, according to the Tennessee Star, by highlighting gun violence. We must continue to do everything in our power at the local level to limit the likelihood and impact of gun violence. Well, it's all about the guns, isn't it, Freddie? Well, there wouldn't be a problem if he was still behind bars. There wouldn't be a problem if they had been set a higher bond and perhaps he couldn't bond out. Really, what we need to start thinking about here is not, trying to, they're all concerned about looking out for the interest of those who are going through the criminal justice system. What about the victims? What about the violence this guy has perpetrated on the community? At some point, doesn't that sort of make him like, okay, you're not going to get a bond. We're going to give you such a high bond that you'll never be able to make it. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Especially when you have somebody with this kind of criminal background. Fox 17 doing the same story. Rucker has an extensive rap sheet which includes multiple convictions for aggravated assault, evading police, and selling drugs. Goes back to 1997 and gets increasingly serious over the years. Most recently arrested in Rutherford County this past October, is now facing 3 counts of selling drugs. We got to do something about that. Another crime that is now being investigated in Wilson County, where I broadcast from, the bizarre Easter morning arson case, where someone pulled a trailer full of Bibles in front of the Global Vision Bible Church and set it on fire. Just after 6 a.m. Easter morning, when he did this, apparently it was the corner of Old Lebanon Dirt Road and Chandler Road in Wilson County. Now, firefighters quickly extinguished the flames, and detectives short while later discovered a trailer full of Bibles had been set on fire. It's ridiculous that anyone would do this for whatever reason. The trailers and the Bibles are now at the sheriff's impound lot being scrutinized for clues. Detectives have obtained some security video showing a white pickup truck. See, but here's my concern about this. It's being investigated, as best I can tell here, as an arson, which, certainly it is. But if this had been a trailer full of Qurans, or a trailer or something that had been done in front of a Jewish synagogue, we would immediately describe this as a hate crime. It is a hate crime. And it needs to be investigated as such. Why is it that, when something happens to, people of the Christian faith, well, they go, oh, how about that? Yeah, well, that's an arson. But if it were to happen in front of the Islamic Center of Nashville, well, then the FBI would be here and we would be calling it a hate crime. I just think there's a dual standard here, and I don't understand why it's not being investigated as a hate crime. And then, we're in the middle of the state legislatures in session right now, and big education bill pending, and all kinds of other bills. But this one, I don't know. Is this where we really need to be in the state of Tennessee? There's no percentage in me doing this story, because I understand that a great number of people really do believe there's something to it. I am not among those. Tennessee lawmakers vote to ban geoengineering with allusions to chemtrail conspiracy theory. Tennessee State House of Representatives passed a bill Monday designed to prevent geoengineering, the practice of intentionally modifying the atmosphere to counteract global warming. Look, there are some people out there who've been doing research. It's not, as far as I can tell, has not reached anything where they're actually doing it. They're just looking at the mathematics and the chemistry behind it all to see whether or not it can have an impact on global warming, which I do not believe that would be proper. But as far as I know, no actual tests have ever been taken place. But people look at what I know to be contrails of aircraft, and they say something sinister there. Some people do. I don't know. Just seems like this is something that really probably we could have done without. Am I wrong about this? Just tell me right now. Is anybody on the super text line reacting to this story? Because I hear from people they believe that the chemtrails are a government conspiracy and that it may have something to do with increased cancer rates in America. And they're not alone, by the way. The Tennessee legislature, there have been some people who have been trying to enact anti-geoengineering policy in Illinois, Kentucky, Minnesota, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and South Dakota. But I don't know. I see planes. Since I was a kid, I've seen planes, and there'd be contrails, which is basically moisture in the upper atmosphere caused by planes that then turns into ice crystals for a brief while. What do you see? Wilson, you bonehead.
There are a few people.
Yeah.
I don't want to don't put me in the middle of this, man.
I know. And look, I don't buy into it. I think, sometimes it is what it appears to be. But I don't know. Here's the good news. If you believe that the government is trying to spray you from 30,000 feet, the state of Tennessee, the state legislature is on it. They're crack on it, man. Don't worry about it. Now I'm going to get all the hate mail. Send all the mail to chris.weber no, I won't do that. All right, 49 minutes. We'll call it 50 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
Keeping an eye in the skies. A tornado watch is in effect until later on tonight after dinner. A shooter at large from yesterday here in Tennessee. A new moon time being introduced, and a 20-year-old arrested for sticking a rifle in the face of 4 others in a parking lot. Those stories at 4. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, thank you much, Mac Maury. Well, let's look at the market right now. Dow Jones Industrial had another rough day, down nearly 400 points, 396 points. S&P down 37. NASDAQ down, almost a full percentage point, down 156 points. All screens are decidedly red today. What's going out there in the world? Well, let's get an analysis from John Maxon over at Beacon Capital Management. Good afternoon, John.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yeah, not a great start to the second quarter. This is a case of where good news was actually bad news for the market today. We actually got some pretty good economic data, and the market reacted pretty negatively to that. And really the fear behind that is that interest rate cuts, which we keep hearing about, are going to be delayed further. So yesterday started with stronger than expected manufacturing data, and then today we had a jobs report that showed us a continued strong labor market and factory orders that were actually up 1.4% after declining for a couple of months. And so all this adds to the inflation decision that the Fed is wrestling with, which, that resulted in the 10 and 20 or 30-year Treasury yields actually climbing higher. So tomorrow, Chairman Powell speaks. Going to be interesting to see what he has to say.
All right. Thank you very much, John. Find out all the things that John Maxon and all the other good people at Beacon Capital Management can do for you to help you get ready for your retirement. Simply go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. It is 58 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock.
Four o'clock, I'm Mac Maury with your top story. 72 degrees and watching severe weather this afternoon. There is a tornado watch in effect until 9 o'clock tonight in Middle Tennessee. Could see the front of that batch of storms around 5, 6 o'clock. Traffic, complete weather forecast headed your way in 5 minutes. The owner of the Dali cargo ship that collided with Baltimore Francis Scott Key Bridge a week ago has filed a federal lawsuit denying responsibility for the accident that toppled the bridge and killed 6 construction workers. Karen Travers has the latest.
The White House isn't commenting on the lawsuit filed by the owner of the Dolly cargo ship, denying responsibility for the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse and trying to limit their total financial payout. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre telling me the White House doesn't want to get ahead of the Department of Transportation investigation or weigh in on an active lawsuit. Still, she reiterated the administration believes it's important to make sure people are held to account for the bridge collapse and says the president's made a commitment that the federal government will fully fund the rebuilding of the bridge.
Right now in Tennessee, a 58-year-old man was shot yesterday in the parking lot of a Food Lion grocery store in Hermitage. That shooter at large. Now, officials say the suspect is 6'2", in his 20s, had short dreads, was wearing a black hoodie, gray jeans, and a ski mask. He allegedly approached the victim in the parking lot, tried to rob him. That victim was shot in the jaw, but is expected to recover. The suspect fled on foot down Bell Road after attempting to carjack a woman in the parking lot. And just as we're getting used to setting our clocks ahead an hour, the White House wants to create an entirely new way of telling time on the moon. Andy Field explains.
NASA says moon travelers can't really answer the question. So the White House is telling the space agency to figure it out.
Houston, we have a problem.
According to a memo obtained by Reuters, NASA's been asked to come up with a way to tell time on the moon, which, because of its gravity and rotation, is different than our 24-hour Earth cycle. An Earth-based clock would seem to lose nearly 60 microseconds per Earth day. No word whether there'll be an app for that on your smartphone.
Here in the volunteer state with a crime story, a 20-year-old man, Parker Glenn, was taken into custody after he allegedly pointed a rifle at 4 people in an apartment parking lot in Hermitage. The group was outside looking at a motorcycle that one of them had just purchased. They were revving the engine for less than a minute until a woman appeared in a window, motioning for them to turn it off. Just after that, Glenn approached them with a black M4-style rifle and told them to, quote, turn it off or you're going to see what happens. Glenn was allegedly aggressive to officers when they came by and denied owning a rifle. His bond has been set at $67,000. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
Hey, man, let me tell you something. It is coming down right now in bucolic Watertown. I mean, we got some rain going on. This is a day where you got to hang very close to the radio because things can go south pretty quickly. Look, we've had some rain come through, and rain is definitely, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but what they tell me is that around, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 o'clock tonight, while we're still on the air, that things could get a little dicey. And let me tell you what they're concerned about. What's coming through now, something to watch. It could intensify. There's a lot of moisture in the air, and there's cooler air trying to move in, and those two things don't go well. So they said that the first round, not really the one we're most concerned about. It's the second round, which comes later this afternoon into the early evening, that we should be watching at. Right now, there is a line of thunder showers that extends from, I want to say, it's just a little bit to the north of Paris, all the way down almost to Memphis. And that is the storm that's the line of thunder showers that, all the future trackers are worried about. That you've seen the future trackers on TV. Sometimes they're right. Sometimes they're a little off. But, I mean, they think that's the one that's really going to be the one to watch. It will develop into a very fast-moving, not necessarily broad, very thin line of thunderstorms. But if the future trackers are right, then we're talking about, some pretty severe wind, hail, potentially some tornadoes. So, we're just going to be watching it like a hawk, and they seem to be pushing back as the day goes on, the times that they think that the worst storms are coming through. Now you may be getting a lot of rain right now where you are. I know we are. It's really coming down here in Watertown, but hang on, because even though you may get a little respite and a little break, in fact, you probably will get a pretty good break there between what we're experiencing now and what is to come later this evening. There will be a gap between those two. And so be weather aware today. Mac Morey is, of course, going to jump in if there's anything that he needs to say. And we've got people who are ready to crash the boards. Matt Murphy is floating around somewhere and will be on the air with us if things start to get a little hectic, and join us and help us get through this coverage. So you're tuned to the right place. And I would just say, hang on, get through this little round of rain, then there'll be a little gap. And then, in fact, as I look at this thing, I can really see that western line of showers coming together into something that we ought to watch pretty closely. All right, so you with me? So I would say probably it's 4:09 now. Probably we're talking 5:36, maybe even a little later before the heavier and more concerning storms start to arrive. In the meantime, while we're doing that, we're going to go ahead and get you a lot of content and push it all in, because we may not be able to talk about it later. We may be talking strictly about the weather. And of course, it's a woke world after all. Yes, it is.
It's a woke world after all.
Bum-bum.
It's a woke world after all. It's a woke world.
That's right. Well, they're not done. No, I think they're done. Okay. The Oregon governor has signed a bill recriminalizing hard drugs after they had been legalized. In other words, they came up with this liberal, we're going to have a very liberal drug policy here in the state of Oregon. And, because we don't think that putting people behind bars for drug use is a good thing. And then it just cascaded out of control. Things got really, really bad. For example, fentanyl overdoses went up 533%. Yeah, that's what happens when you tell people that there are no repercussions for using drugs. Oregon Governor Tina Kotek, a Democrat, on Monday signed a bill into law which reverses Measure 110, which was a 2020 law that voters approved to decriminalize most illegal possession of controlled substances offenses and redirect much of the state's marijuana tax revenue to fund grants for addiction services. And at the time, It had a lot of support. 58% of Oregon residents approved the initial measure. But since then, addiction has spiraled out of control. The number of overdose deaths have skyrocketed. And in August, 56% of Oregonians, almost the same amount that approved it, said that they disapproved of the pioneering drug law. And that required that Republicans and Democrats introduce legislation to roll back the controversial measure. Now, remember, Republicans were screaming bloody murder there in Oregon about this, and it was the Democrats who really went forward with it. But now the new bill recriminalizes. So, yeah, nice experiment. Too bad it cost a lot of people their lives. Oregon House Republican leader Jeff Helfrich said he supported the governor's decision as a crucial first step toward addressing the ongoing drug crisis in the state. Republicans stood united and forced Democrats to do what Oregonians demanded: recriminalize drugs. I think lessons to be learned here. People tried it. They thought that they had the right answer, that putting people behind bars and criminalizing drug possession was not the right way to go. Let's have a more liberal and open approach to it. And it got bad there in the Pacific Northwest. It got bad in Oregon. And so they have now 180 degrees back in the direction from whence they started. There you go. Anthony Blinken, you'd think right now with the state of the world as it is, where we have conflict between Israel and Gaza, we had a situation around where we're really worried about what's going on in Ukraine, and we're very concerned about China, and there are about 10 other hotspots around the world that we need to be watching very closely. And you'd think that your State Department would be focused mostly on that. But no, you know what they're focused on? Making sure that they have DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken announced the appointment of a new Chief of Diversity and Inclusion Officer at the State Department on Tuesday. Blinken said Zakiya Carr-Johnson will be the new CDIO. That's the new title. Is expected to create a workforce that reflects America. I'm all in favor of diversity. I love diversity. I think it's a great thing. I'm all for the idea of inclusion. It's equity that I have the problem with, because it sounds like equality, but it's not. It's not equality at all. Equity assumes that we have an outcome that is equitable for everyone, regardless of whether or not they have any merit. Merit is what we ought to be making decisions on. I want in my State Department, I want in my Pentagon, I want in my government the best and the brightest, not people who fit a certain, decide quota that we need to fill. But again, that's what they're focused on. A lot of businesses went down this path and decided that after doing it for a while, that DEI was just really not working for them. And they're sort of walking away from it. But now, while others are walking away from the concept of DEI, you have our government digging in even deeper on the concept. And they're trying to do everything they can to make sure that positions are filled not by the most qualified person, but by the person who fits the quota that they need to fill. I don't have any problem with diversity, but I expect that in certain positions, for example, I don't want doctors being, put in there because they happen to be the right color. I want doctors who are going to be operating on me because they're qualified to do so. And if they are qualified, I don't care what color they are. Purple, green, orange, just doesn't matter to me. Just give me people who are qualified. And I think we're gonna pay a price for this, just like they did in Oregon, where they tried something and it went very badly. We're going to go down this path of filling positions based on skin color and making sure that we have an equitable outcome when indeed some of the people who they're going to put in those positions are not qualified. I think it's going to start to come back and haunt us in things like, well, how about airline industry? How about the medical industry? How about all these other things? Good. I mean, if you can do the job, I don't care. I don't care at all. I want you to be there if you're qualified to do these things. But simply saying that we're going to make decisions based on quotas and making sure that everybody is represented, that's not the right way to go in some areas. I want our best and brightest. I want people to earn their positions based on merit. Merit. Are they qualified? Can they do the job? Have they passed the appropriate tests? Dim lawmakers push FDNY to remove politically charged thin red line American flag honoring 9/11 responders. Have you seen these? I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm not crazy about these flags. To me, I think they, in a way, I like the plain old American flag just the way it is. But some police officers and some firefighters have taken to adding a red or a blue line. The thin blue line, the thin red line is the fire department. And apparently, even though this was really meant as a tribute to those who died on 9/11, they have sent out an issue saying that you cannot have them. We cannot do that anymore. Please take them down. Okay. I think bigger fish to fry. There was a thing that happened. Louisiana State women's basketball coach Jim Mulkey is having to explain why her team was not present for the national anthem at their game against the Hawkeyes in the Elite Eight on Monday night. Honestly, I don't even know when the anthem was played, she told reporters. We have kind of a routine where we are on the floor, and when we come off at the 12-minute mark, we come in and we do our pregame stuff. Sorry, I listen. There's nothing intentionally being done here. Others are not so sure. Fans and reporters took notice Monday night when Iowa's players were present holding hands on the court for the anthem, but LSU's squad was nowhere to be found. Many folks on Twitter were quick to point out that the Lady Tigers are typically in the locker room when the anthem plays. LSU is never on the court, says the Baton Rouge news reporter Chessa Boucher. The backlash is right on schedule. The same exact thing happened last year. LSU and Iowa played the 2023 national championship, and LSU was also, pursuant to Mulkey's routine, absent for the anthem. Seemed like, that no matter what you're doing, if you're out there and you're a basketball team, and you could arrange your schedule so that you could be there for the playing of the national anthem. To be absent, it would seem to be that you are sending a message. She says no message intended, but who knows? Who knows? It is now 20 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Question for you. Are you happy with where your weight is? I was getting to the point where I was not happy with mine. You see, I lost a lot of weight last year, but I started regaining it when I felt better, and I didn't want things to spiral out of control, and they certainly were headed that way. But I decided to do something about it. I went to Restoration Wellness Med Spa. And though I've never taken on a weight loss client before, I want you to know I'm impressed with the program that Jamie and Carly at Restoration Wellness Med Spa in Lebanon developed for me. You see, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. They took a look at my history, my lifestyle, and suggested an approach that is starting to show real results. That's right, 15 pounds down. Amazingly, here's the good part, I'm not hungry, which is really huge. Beyond that, Cabana Wife and I are undergoing peptide therapy at Restoration Wellness Med Spa and are thrilled with the results. We've both noticed greater mental clarity and increased energy. So whether your goal is to lose weight or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness Med Spa has a solution for you. Maybe it's time for you to join more than 1,000 patients who have already seen life-changing results. I want to give you the number, 615-470-8124. But really, you need to learn more about Restoration Wellness Med Spa by going to their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
Some news concerning special counsel Jack Smith and Donald Trump got a midnight deadline, plus some money news, and we are keeping an eye on the sky. You can hear it all right here, 430 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
There is Mac Maury with all your stories, bringing you news and information that you need to know on the top of the hour and at the bottom of the hour, and is also keeping an eye on the weather. Well, look, I understand that the sun is shining in downtown Nashville right now.
Yeah, very strange.
Yeah, I know. I'm telling
Breaks
you,
in the
this is a weird one. I'll give you that. It's very weird. You've got gaps, but what I'm not a meteorologist. I just sort of try to attempt to be one from time to time on the radio. But I do know this, that the future trackers are all sort of in agreement that there is another line to come, and I'm watching it. It's out to the west right now, and you're going to see a gap where the sun is shining, and then there's going to be more rain, and then there is this line that they're very concerned about sort of developing up in a very ugly way out west right now. It's I don't know. It's just, I'd say it's out there just to the east of Paris. It is almost to the point where it's reaching the Clarksville area. So, but it sort of slants.
It kind of like Clarksville down towards Jackson, kind of like that angle.
I think that's the one that they say that can blow up, and it is blowing up. I mean, look, it comes out of nowhere. The next thing you know, it's gone from blue to green to red to orange to purple. It's the purple you got to watch out for. We'll keep an eye on that. And again, I think that's probably going to be coming. It may be well after 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and probably in the 6 o'clock hour, things could really be rocking if they're right. Maybe we'll just get lucky and it'll just be a good thunderstorm and we can all go to bed and say, well, we dodged a bullet there. That's the great thing about being in the weather. If you're wrong, you can always say, well, I guess we just dodged a bullet there, and nobody ever says anything about it. I remember I did weather for a while, even though I'm not a meteorologist, on TV for a short while in my career. It was a very short while, about 18 months in Amarillo. And, I always thought it was interesting that, if you're a reporter and you're wrong, you don't last very long. If you're a weather person and you're wrong, they still love you.
More so if you're wrong in the right way.
Yeah, right. There's a big snowstorm coming, and everybody gets all excited. Oh, there's going to be a big storm. It doesn't develop, and you go, oh, we dodged a bullet. We got lucky that time, didn't we? Wow, but no, the real assessment is you got it wrong. And the funny thing is that people love their weather people. I mean, there's something
very passionate about them. Yeah,
the people are very passionate. They consider them and I kept trying to figure out why that was. I mean, it got to the point, even though I'd only been doing it for a short period of time, that I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't go to the mall. I couldn't go to the grocery store without everybody, hey, and then they always look at you and they smile and I go, what's the weather going to do today? And I go, I don't know. I'm not working right now. I haven't even looked at it. But people were always reaching out to you, and they love you. They love you because I thought, well, why is that? And I think it is that you may not care about politics, and you may not care about what happens at City Hall or the state legislature or Congress or the White House. Maybe you're one of those people just doesn't care that much about the news, but you care about the weather. Because that impacts your life. You got to know what to wear. That's right. Got to know, what's going on. People, if they don't care about anything else at all, they care about the weather. It's the universal thing, which is why so many newscasts. It used to be weather was the last thing you put on a television newscast. It was, you did your news, and then you did your sports, and then they did the weather. Now it's the first thing they do. And what they found is that people do care to know about the weather and what I need to wear tomorrow, what's it going to be like tomorrow. So, I get it all. And so, when you got the people like, these wonderful, we have wonderful meteorologists here in the Nashville area. They become real big personalities. But we're looking right now, again, do you see that storm line that I'm talking about, Chris?
Yep, I do. And it's looking like you were saying, it's going to be a little bit later. I think it's later than they expected earlier today. But the radar I'm looking at, or the future projection, doesn't look like it's going to be anything severe by the time it hits to Nashville. But again, this is all just guesswork at this point. The computer models are making their best guess.
That's right. And so maybe in about another hour or two, we'll say, hey, well, we dodged a bullet.
Yeah. We shall see.
And a lot of schools went home today. I mean, a lot of schools took the day off or came home early. I mean, I was having lunch, me and the Bulldog are having lunch there in the kitchen, and next thing I know, here comes Cabana Wife. Well, they canceled the rest of our day. I'm home early.
Wow.
Really, really worried about it. A lot of people decided they'd get home early. Well, anyway, we're watching it for you. And if there's anything at all that we need to tell you, you're going to hear it right here. The entire team here at WTN will launch into full weather mode if it is needed. It is now 30 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock.
Minutes after the hour, 4 o'clock, I'm Mac Morey with your top story. 71 degrees in Music City, and got a gap in those clouds now. Sun trying to peek out. Still tracking those severe storms as we are monitoring that next batch that's starting to ramp up. It's getting closer to Music Row. Could come around 5:30 or 6. Tornado watch in effect in Middle Tennessee until 9 p.m. We got a forecast traffic report just ahead, 5 minutes. Special counsel Jack Smith faces a midnight deadline to respond to a federal judge's request in the classified documents case against former President Donald Trump. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
Judge Eileen Cannon has asked prosecutors to weigh in on how they would have her eventually instruct the jury on a point that undermines their case against Trump. It posits that Trump was right, that he had the power to decide which of his documents were personal and which presidential records would be sent to the National Archives. The task poses a unique challenge to the special counsel's office, which has been arguing from the start that the classified documents found at Mar-a-Lago could never be considered personal.
Now over to some money news. Daria Albinger lets us know what's going on Wall Street today.
Stocks plunged on their worst day in 4 weeks. The Dow fell 397 points, the Nasdaq dropped 150, and the S&P closed down 38. Tesla sales tumbled nearly 9%, the most in 4 years, as competition increases and demand slows for electric vehicles. Mixed signs on the job front. The Labor Department says employees posted more than 8.75 million job vacancies in February, just a bit more than the month before. But the Job Openings and Labor Turnover, or JOLT survey, shows layoffs ticked up 1.7 million in February. Amazon is removing Just Walk Out technology from its Amazon Fresh stores. It's part of an effort to revamp the grocery chain. Just Walk Out allows customers to pay for items without standing in line and then sends them the receipt later. Amazon is replacing it with smart carts that will also allow customers to skip the line but see their spending in real time.
And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandison. I love My Patriot Supply. It's emergency food so you can care for your family no matter what. And today, we're fixing creamy chicken flavored rice. And the thing I love about My Patriot Supply, it's easy. You just get the water, turn on the heat, and in minutes, we are ready to go. Now, this food lasts for 25 years in special packaging, and yes, it does taste great. And in just minutes, it's ready to eat. Patriots don't rely on the government to take care of their family in emergencies. It's up to you. Order right now and get $200 off a 3-month food kit. It's important to go to preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. That's preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. Preparewithmandis.com, $200 off a 3-month food kit.
Well, let's head out to the swamp. We got a lot of swampalicious stuff going on here, a lot of stuff to talk about. And we're keeping an eye on the weather. So if anything happens, don't worry. We'll go right back to it. Keeping an eye on it. This is going to drive the Democrats absolutely bonkers. House Republicans want to rename an airport in the Washington, D.C. area. It's a very famous airport. It's Dulles International Airport, named after Secretary of State John Foster Dulles, who served during the Eisenhower administration, about 25 miles west of central downtown Washington. It's a hike out there, but it's a big old international airport. You know what they want to rename it? They wanted to rename it the Donald J. Trump Airport. That's right. A group of House Republicans want to rename Washington Dulles International Airport after former President Trump. In our lifetime, our nation has never had been greater than under the leadership of President Trump, says Representative Guy Reschenthaler of Pennsylvania. The sponsor of the bill introduced Friday to name the Virginia airport Donald J. Trump International Airport. So that's DJTIA, he said in the news release. As millions of domestic and international travelers fly through the airport, there's no better symbol of freedom, prosperity, and strength than hearing, "Welcome to Trump International Airport," as they land on American soil. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's one of three major airports in the D.C. area. Used to be when I first came to Washington, it was called National Airport. Now it's called Reagan National Airport. Reagan Washington National Airport is the official name of the airport. Then you got Baltimore Washington International, BWI, which is up toward Balmer, but a lot of people use it in the Washington area, fly out of there. It's a big hub for Southwest Airlines. But it's been renamed over the years Baltimore Washington International Thurgood Marshall Airport in Maryland. Thurgood Marshall, of course, a former member of the Supreme Court. Co-sponsors of the bill include Representative Mike Waltz of Florida, Andy Ogles of Tennessee. He loves this idea. Chuck Fleischman of Tennessee, Paul Gosar of Arizona, Troy Nels, Texas, Barry Moore, Alabama. Listen, I don't know if they can get it done or not. I mean, it'd have to be one of those things that gets slipped into something the Democrats really want to vote for, because otherwise it would be, it's got to be something that Democrats in the Senate would want to have to vote for. But right now, with Democratic control, probably not going very far. But I love that. That's great fun. Can you imagine how the Democrats would just seethe each time you had to mention Donald Trump International Airport?
I'm sure they'd refuse. They'd refuse to refer to it as.
They probably would say, "Yeah, listen, I'm not flying out of Donald Trump International. Fine, put me on some other flight." This is huge, really, actually pretty big. A federal district court has overturned the Biden administration's climate rule that required states to track and set reduction goals for greenhouse gas emissions from vehicles on highways. Listen to this. In a sweeping judgment late Monday, Judge Benjamin Beaton of the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Kentucky ordered the Federal Highway Administration to stand down on the rules which the agent finalized in November. The ruling represents a major victory for the state of Kentucky, which had challenged the regulations alongside 21 other states. President Biden's radical environmental agenda has lost touch with reality, and Kentucky families, farmers, and workers are paying the price. Republican State Attorney General Russell Coleman said on Tuesday, "Like all Americans, Kentuckians love our trucks, our cars, and our vans, and with this victory in court, we're slamming the brakes on the Biden administration's politics, which make no sense to the Commonwealth of Kentucky." They filed lawsuit in December, 1 month after these regulations were finalized. And so now, will it be appealed? You bet it'll be appealed. But I don't know. Maybe it'll stand. I hope it does. Good on you. That's right. You can take a lot of things away from me, but when you start taking away my pickup truck, then you're talking about getting me a little riled. We have been trying to get information and trying to get information about this story that broke some time back. And it was about the Biden administration flying people directly from foreign countries like South America, Central America, and flying in other places as well, and flying them into this country directly and going around the border. And the question is, well, where did they ship them all? Where was they going? First of all, this is very secretive, very hush-hush, but we're talking about, something like 345 or so thousand illegal migrants who apparently got on the Biden administration app, border app, and filled out a form, and then they were flown into the country. Rather than have to go to the border and come across illegally, they came into the country as illegal aliens, and we just gave them a nice rubber stamp and sent them on their way. At least, here are the numbers now. Where did they go? The vast majority were flown to the state of Florida. Which I'm like, wow. Seems like they would have picked up on 326,000 illegals being flown into the state of Florida. 326,000. The others, about 22,000, were flown into Houston, Texas. The move appears to be a political tactic to punish red states, and to crash their social welfare systems under the pressure of the sheer amount of newcomers. As usual, Republican lawmakers failed to do anything about it. We didn't know anything about it until recently. This is from the Daily Fetched. The Biden administration's program of secretly flying illegal immigrants directly from Latin America to U.S. cities dumps over 90% in hubs of 2 southern states governed by the president's harshest border critics, according to government data. Some 347,000 migrants allowed into the secretive system fly directly to airports in Florida and Texas. Florida receiving the vast majority, 325,000, and as I said, 22,000 going to Houston. It's unclear how many of the immigrants then fly on to other U.S. cities, though the government has said that there are over 40 final destinations. The early evidence suggests that a great many of these inadmissible alien passengers, probably a majority, initially land at international airports in Republican Governor Ron DeSantis' Florida, which reported that the program has let in 386,000 people since October of 22. How about that? And first of all, they shouldn't be flying people in directly. But, I mean, I still want to know where's the ultimate destination. Because, the one side, does it punish the state of Florida if they land there and stay there? Yeah, it does. It's a big hassle to try to find the support you need for that many people, and expensive for the states. But then the other part of it is, but does it help? How does it help them politically? If their game is to, well, I'll tell you how. I see how it is. What the idea here is that they are very emphatically, for years now, the Democrat policy has been to try to turn Texas blue. And Florida used to be in play not long ago, but now it's become a more reliably red state. Remember when we were doing hanging chads and all that? How close it was? Well, I mean, the migration has happened, and a lot of people within our country have moved to both Texas and to Florida. And so maybe what they're trying to do is hopefully that one day they would land there, become citizens, and vote in a blue way. But I have a feeling that probably the other part of that is that they land in Miami, they land in Houston, and then they are put on another flight to some other location, probably one that helps them with their like cities where you're losing population right now. They want to try to bolster those numbers for the census. If you're a buyer for a new home, you now need a six-figure income in some 22 states to qualify. Now, in 2020, before we got into the Biden years, there were only 6 states where that was true. Now it's 22 states. The longer the American people are forced to live under the destructive policies Many of those destructive policies intentionally, so the harder it becomes for hardworking Americans to put gas in their tanks, put food on their tables, and now buy a home, writes redstate.com. A new analysis from Bankrate found that in 22 states and Washington, D.C., so that's actually almost like 23 states, home buyers now need a six-figure household income to comfortably afford a typical median-priced home. And again, in 2020, there were only 6 states in the country where that was true. Now there are 22 states where you've got to make at least $100K or more. There's been less housing supply to meet buyer demand, both because there is less home building, and he said in the lock-in effect of higher mortgage rates. Factors make existing homeowners reluctant to sell because it will cost them more to buy a new home. The Bankrate.com analysis made some prudent assumptions, assessing affordability strictly from the perspective of the mortgage payments. That's probably true. Top 5, California, Hawaii. In California, to own a median, on average, a median-priced home, you got to make almost $200,000. Hawaii, it's $185,000. Yeah, I can understand that. In the District of Columbia, it's $167,000. Massachusetts, it's $162,000. Washington State, $156,000. Some of the other states, though, Arizona, $110,000. Colorado, $152,000. Connecticut, $119,000. Florida, $114,000. Idaho, $114,000. Maine, $102,000. In contrast, homes in the following states in the South and Midwest have the lowest income needs. Mississippi, $63,000. Ohio, $64,000. Arkansas, $64,000. Indiana, $65,000. And Kentucky, $65,000. I don't see Tennessee on the list. I'm sorry, I don't have that number. But, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we apparently are below 100,000, but still, it's getting expensive to buy a home. Very quickly, we'll wrap up this segment with this story about Hunter Biden and Biden Inc. Hunter Biden was in court on Monday to try to find out whether or not he could get his federal tax charges dismissed. Everybody wondered if that would happen. But a judge on Monday rejected first son Hunter Biden's request to dismiss tax charges brought against him by special counsel David Weiss. He absolutely declined to do so. Judge Mark Scarsi of the U.S. District Court, Central District of Columbia, District of California, to dismiss the charges against him, which he said on Monday he declined to do. The motion is remarkable that it fails to include a single declaration, exhibit, or request for judicial notice. I mean, he just basically asked because he felt like he needed to ask, but I think he probably knew there was no chance that was going to happen. So there you have it. 51 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk. Let me tell you about the Wellness Institute of Nashville, where they can help you if you are in pain. You know, there's no pill or spinal cream that can open up the spine and take pressure off your nerves. You either have two choices. You can either get surgery or you can pursue the non-surgical procedures that they do here at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. I have used the non-surgical approach. It's called non-surgical spinal decompression. The Wellness Institute of Nashville has state-of-the-art facilities, the latest in high-tech equipment, from their robot lasers that can stimulate your cells to the KT knee machine, which is spinal decompression for the knee. You elongate the knee and help repair torn meniscus and knee pain. They got all kinds of things, and if you suffer from back or neck pain or are facing knee surgery, you owe it to yourself to try the Wellness Institute of Nashville first. You will see Dr. Mitchell or Dr. Ashley at every single visit. And because getting better and feeling healthy is important to both Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they are offering half off the spinal decompression treatment and half off the KT knee machine. So what do you want to do? You want to call and set up your appointment, and set it up now. 615-246-5009. Again, 615-246-5009. Learn more at their website, painisbad.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Busy Bee, when you need heat or cold AC, 775-7833. That's the number to call, and they'll come right over to your house. They'll buzz over to your house and take care of all your problems. And your system will be up and humming like a bee in short order. That's right. I mean, listen, if sometimes the systems, they get old. They're not meant to last forever. They don't last forever. If you get 20 years out of a system, you're doing really well. And if it comes time to replace that system, I want you to know you're not going to find a better value on HVAC and plumbing replacement systems than our good folks over at Busy Bee. And the way you keep these things running is with preventative maintenance. Be a member of the Beehive Club for as little as $99. 3 thorough maintenance services on your systems, one aimed at heating, one aimed at cooling, one aimed at plumbing. No overtime charges, 24/7, 10% off all repairs. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling is your official Rude Pro partner. For satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling at 615-775-7833 or online at busybeehvac.com.
Five o'clock, I'm Mac Morey with your top story. 68 degrees in Nashville. Tornado watch in effect until 9 o'clock in the mid-state. Could see that second round show up here in the next hour or so. Going to some quick traffic news. A driver landed in a creek on I-65 South. This is around mile marker 22. Crews are still working to get him out of that vehicle. He's been in the car for about 30 minutes now. Several EMS crews and sheriff deputies are on that scene. Again, I-65 South, mile marker 22. Traffic. Complete weather forecast coming up in 5 minutes. The U.S. urging Israel to conduct a full investigation after 7 aid workers from World Central Kitchen were killed by an IDF airstrike in Gaza. Chef Jose Andres, who runs the organization, posting on social media that he's grieving for the families and that the bloodshed needs to stop. Here's Karen Travers.
President Biden spoke with Jose Andres to share his condolences after the deaths of 7 aid workers with the chef's World Central Kitchen. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre.
The president felt it was important to recognize the tremendous contribution World Central Kitchen has made to the people in Gaza and people around the world.
Jean-Pierre said the president told Andres he will make clear to Israel that humanitarian aid workers must be protected.
Back here in Tennessee, the mayor of Coffee County, 53-year-old Judd Matheny, was found dead in his home overnight today. No cause of death has been revealed. The TBI now getting involved in this investigation. He was a former state representative for areas of Warren and Coffee counties. And as some Americans switch to electric cars, the happiest place on earth is about to do the same. Here's Alex Stone.
At Disneyland, the sound of the cars on the famous Autopia ride. The tiny cars guests ride around on that kind of sound like lawnmowers running. The cars still run on gas, hence the sound they put out. They're running from 8 in the morning until midnight most days. Disneyland says it will be converting its gas Autopia vehicles to electric vehicles over the next couple of years. It's working on the technology for the tiny cars now.
And right now in Tennessee, TDOT conducting a planning and environmental linkages study. It includes 45 miles of interstate segments, including the downtown Nashville corridors and the Interstate 24 Southeast corridor. The department noted that the Greater Nashville Regional Council expects a 44% increase in the population between 2017 and 2045. Now, that's in the region. Annual daily traffic is projected to increase 20% in the same time period, and truck volume expected to increase by 23%. Now, this is all connected to choice lanes that could be coming to Tennessee in the future. They're figuring out how to reduce congestion as the population grows. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's 6 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and you're listening to The Drive. And we are driving you home, getting you safely there while we're keeping an eye on the weather. There's still some showers, of course, in the area. Right now, we're in a tornado watch, but I don't think we have any major problems. There is, however, one line of thunder showers that they're concerned if you look at these future tracker things, they're concerned that it may blow up and become a thing. And we're watching it out west of Nashville right now. At the current speed and track, it probably would not arrive in Nashville until somewhere around 6 o'clock. So that's about 53 minutes from now. So it is moving to the west, and I would say to the east and to the north. It's a slight northeast track, but it could be hitting Nashville around 6 o'clock, and we're watching that one pretty closely because the future trackers have some belief that it's going to blow up and become a thing. Otherwise, if we get past that one, we're done. And there are huge gaps between these where the rain that we're experiencing, like right now in the Nashville area, there's going to be a big gap before that one gets here around 6 o'clock. So we're keeping an eye on it. We may get lucky here. I'm not sure, but it's too early to call it. But I don't know. I'm beginning to believe it may not be everything that we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, definitely. In my looking at the future track that I've got pulled up here, it is less severe now looking than it was, say, an hour ago.
Well, good. Maybe things are changing then.
Hopefully.
That's a good sign. We'll keep on it. We've got an eye on it for you. But all the weather people will now be able to go, dodged a bullet. I mean, they took kids out of school today.
Yeah, some districts did.
Some jurisdictions did. All right. Well, anyway, we're on it. We're watching it. Let me just say that I'm not as concerned as I was earlier in the day. Let's put it that way. All right. Talk about where we are in the 2024 campaign. Democrats are beginning to come a little unraveled. And let me tell you why. Let me just look at the numbers very quickly. I've got them right here. The Real Clear Politics average of polls has Trump beating Biden by 1. But that's the popular vote, right? By the way, in the five-way average, when you take 5 people who are running, that would be Trump, Biden, RFK, West, Stein. That's 5. Trump wins the general population vote by 2.5%. But really, that's not the way to look at it because you really can win the popular vote and not win the presidency. It's all about electoral college politics and making sure you rack up 270 before the other guy does. And in the top battleground states, Trump leads by an average of 3.2. 3.2. That's still within the margin of error, but it's not close to being outside. Where are we then in the individual battleground states? These are Real Clear Politics average of polls, not one individual poll, but several averaged together. In no particular order, Wisconsin. Trump leads by 0.8, less than 1%. Arizona, looking pretty good. Trump leads by 5.2. Georgia, Trump leads by 5.2. Michigan, Trump leads by 3.5. Pennsylvania, it is, tick tight, but Trump leads by 0.2. 0.2%. That's going to be a tight state. North Carolina, Trump leads by 4.4, and Nevada, Trump leads by an average of 3. So, he leads in every one of the battleground states, but he does better in about 5 of them, and a couple of them are pretty close. All right, so there we go. If you're interested, by the way, in the United States Senate, the way it stands right now, Real Clear Politics has it 48 GOP, 45 Dems, but 7 toss-ups. Would you like to know? And some of these toss-ups are going to be interesting. Maryland, for example, is a toss-up state. It's hard to believe in the Senate race with Larry Hogan. He may win this thing. He's the former Republican governor of a very Democrat state. He's not a hardline conservative, as you might imagine. You can't be a hardline Republican and win in the state of Maryland. Just not possible. But I mean, if you pick up Maryland, that's a very good sign. That's a very good sign. As I said, the Democrats are becoming unraveled a little bit as they look at the numbers. There's a great story here about James Carville. Now, I like James Carville, but he's entertaining. But he says things that other Democrats won't say. And here's his take on where things are, because the latest polls seem to show that Biden is losing young people. Young voters have traditionally voted to the left, and then they get some life experience, and then they start to vote to the right. But in their early days, a lot of young people will vote Democrat, and they're losing them. A lot of people are walking away from Joe Biden. And James Carville has looked at the numbers, and he is, and to use his word, he's horrified.
I've been very vocal about this. It's horrifying. Our numbers among younger voters, particularly younger blacks, younger Latinos, or whatever, but whatever younger, I don't like younger people of color, particularly males. We're not shedding them. They're leaving in the droves.
Wow. He said, we're not shedding them. They're leaving. I mean, he's very concerned.
We're not shedding them. They're leaving in the droves.
From the Daily Caller, that's about what James Carville has said. President Joe Biden, let me read the whole story. Former Bill Clinton campaign strategist James Carville expressed concerns on Sunday that the number of young voters, a key voting bloc for Democrats, are leaving his party. President Joe Biden was supported by 52% of Americans aged 18 to 34, while former President Donald Trump received support from 48 of this crucial Democrat voting bloc in a February polling data. Major difference from past presidential elections, including 2020, when Carville called what he called an alarming development on his program that he has. Younger voters were key to Biden's coalition in 2020, as a Pew Research Center found that 59% of voters aged 18 to 29 voted for him in the 2020 presidential election, while Trump received only 33% of the vote of this bloc. Now, latest numbers show it's almost tied. Almost tied. So that is a migration of votes. And what's going on there? What's causing that? I think it has, some people believe it has to do with his Israeli policy, which I quite frankly don't understand. The Biden's Israeli policy should be to support Israel. But young people, for some reason, have decided that they want to support Hamas and the Palestinians over Israel, which has been our lifelong and very reliable ally in the region. And what scares me about that particular number is, in order to win the election, Joe Biden may have to walk away from our longest ally in the Mideast region. In other words, he's probably, watch for it, because he'll be making a decision based on what's right and what's wrong with regard to our relationship with Israel, based not on what's in the best strategic interest of the United States, but what's best for Joe Biden's political numbers. This is apparently really true in the state of Michigan, where, as I've mentioned before, we have a great number of Arab American voters who are not happy with the president's position and his support of Israel, and they may sit on their hands. A lot of them said they were going to vote non-committal, 100,000 votes non-committed in during the primary, and so I think that was a message, and I think they're receiving it. Well, I'm sorry. You know what? You've got to have some things that our allies need to know that they can count on us reliably, right? Especially Israel, which has been there for us time and time and time and time again. But I think that the Biden administration is going to be making decisions with regard to foreign policy, not because it would be good for America, but because it'd be good for his campaign. Watch it. It will happen. So I'm very troubled by that. Very troubled by how they are reacting to this, because listen, they don't care what they have to do. I mean, it's been very clear. If they cared about what was in America's best interest, they would have shut down the border a long time ago. They don't care about what's in America's best interest. They care deeply about getting reelected and holding on to power. So there you go. I watch it. You'll see exactly what I mean in the days ahead. Count on it. Now we need to talk about the evil Hillary Clinton. she's speaking up. She was on the Late Show with Jimmy Fallon. Big old wet sloppy kiss by NBC and Jimmy Fallon. She said that if you're among those people who can't decide how you're going to vote, you need to just get over yourself. I'm not making it up. That's what she said.
But it's Biden versus Trump.
Yes,
we know that.
It is. It is.
What do you say to voters who are upset that those are the two choices?
Get over yourself. Those are the two choices.
Yeah, love that.
Right? And
good.
It's kind of like one is old and effective and compassionate, has a heart.
Did she say old and defective or effective? I'm not sure. I missed that, but she's going on.
And really cares about people. And one is old and has been charged with 91 felonies.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
okay. Interesting.
He laughs,
I don't understand why this is even a hard choice. Really, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But we have to go through
I
the
agree with
election,
everything
and
you
hopefully
say,
people
Hillary.
Will realize what's at stake because it's an existential question. What kind of country we're going to have, what kind of democracy we're going to have, and people who blow that off are not paying attention because it's not like Trump, his enablers, his empowerers, his allies are not telling us what they want to do. I mean, they're pretty clear about what kind of country they want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Get out there and vote.
Yeah. Thank you, Jimmy. Anyway, she's right. This is about the future of America. And I hope that people make the right decision. And it's not probably the same decision or conclusion that Hillary would come up with. RFK Jr. has gone on TV on CNN's Aaron Burnett show and said that he believes that Biden is the greater threat to democracy over Trump. And here he is. And I know it's hard to listen to him, but listen very carefully to what he's saying. Here it is. Here's RFK Jr.
But do you really believe that when people talk about the threat to democracy that Trump poses, do you really think that is an equal evil to Biden?
I mean, listen, I can make the argument that President Biden is a much worse threat to democracy. And the reason for that is President Biden is the first candidate in history, the first president in history that has used the federal agencies to censor political speech, so to censor his opponent. I can say that because I just won a case in the Federal Court of Appeals and now before the Supreme Court that shows that he started censoring not just me. For 37 hours after he took the oath of office, he was censoring me. No president in the country has ever done that. The greatest threat to democracy is not somebody who questions election returns, but a president of the United States who used the power of his office to force the social media companies, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, to open a portal and give access to that portal to the FBI, to the CIA, to the IRS, to CISA, to NIH, to censor his political critics. President Biden, for the first president in history, to use his power over the Secret Service to deny Secret Service protection to one of his political opponents for political reasons. He's weaponizing the federal agencies.
I don't think CNN realized that what they were going to get into by asking that question, but he was, listen, the Democrats were angry. They're angry about RFK because you know what? When you look at Biden versus Trump, it can be tight. If you add RFK into the mix and the other wannabe candidates, then it gets a wider margin for Trump because he takes votes away from Joe Biden. That's true. And the Democrats are saying, he's spouting MAGA rhetoric. Well, I wouldn't call that MAGA rhetoric, but I mean, he's right. They have weaponized government every step of the way. By the way, Biden is stepping up the efforts to court the Haley voters. Remember Nikki Haley? We haven't heard much from her lately, have we? They want to try to grab those people who thought that Nikki Haley was the answer. And my answer to that is that shouldn't be very difficult since they're already Democrats anyway. 22 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Beacon Capital Management's annual Shred Day will be Saturday, April 20th from 8 to 11. You know what that means? It'll be after you've done your taxes. If you got a bunch of documents you want to get rid of, you want to shred them, you want to get done with them, just go to the Beacon Capital Management parking lot on April 20th between 8 and 11, and they will, right in front of you, shred it. Turn it into little tiny pieces of paper. And then, say, I need you to talk about Beacon because they are a company that can really help you. Discover your retirement savings potential in less than 30 seconds with Beacon Capital Management's free retirement savings calculator. A simple step-by-step calculator, easy to use. You'll get results right away. Take the next step in your financial planning journey and see how much you could have saved for retirement now. And if you find out that you're way behind the 8 ball on that and you need to get caught up, you need some advice from Beacon, call them at 615-488-9303. Give them some information. Have them do a deep dive on what you got going. See what kind of things they can recommend for you. You have nothing to lose except for all the worry. Replace the worry with confidence that you're on the right path. That number 615-488-9303. The experts at Beacon stand ready to take your stress away, and you can learn more at askbeaconnow.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
President Biden spoke with the Chinese President Xi Jinping today. Right now in Tennessee, a tragic and scary story about a set of Tennessee grandparents that have been indicted in the death of their grandson, and a dog shot by a man delivering groceries. 5:30, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport. The thrill of victory. And the agony of defeat.
It's time for Mac Morey's Wide, Wild World of Sports. That's right. It's time to take the news break for just a few seconds to learn what's going on in the wide, wild world of sports with Mac Morey. Here, without further ado, the host of our program, well, that would be Mac Morey.
Oh, yeah, ironic. Woo!
It's like they named it after you
I know,
almost.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
I mean, when it's Mac Morey's Wide World of Sports, you would expect the host names would be Mac Morey.
Here's your host,
Well,
Bob.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, what do you got for us today?
Well, I thought first, I don't have any audio, but L'Jarius Sneed did have his opening press conference. That is the cornerback
Well,
from the
hold
Kansas
on
City
just a
Chiefs.
moment. One thing you got to say, the man is a snappy dresser.
Woo, that suit was looking
Did you see that
fly.
suit? Oh,
Yes.
my goodness.
He was
missed
looking
this.
great.
All right, I got to look this
Yeah,
up.
you should look this up.
Look it up because it's something. I'll tell you. That's all I know is I saw a picture of him on the screen. I said, man, that's a jacket. That's a statement right there.
It was. Yeah, it's got this like blue and then some green, black stripes. It's quite colorful and still holding the true two-tone blue somehow.
Yeah,
so
somewhere in there is some two-tone blue. That's
yes,
right.
exactly. So, but Sneed, he's not much of a. Yeah, you see it now, Weber.
Yeah, nice.
It's pretty great. Yeah.
Would you wear something like that?
Absolutely, I would. I could pull that off. I could rock that. Yeah.
All right.
Just wait.
All
We'll
right.
see.
If you're paying me $55 million, yeah, I'll wear it. Yeah, so L'Jarius Sneed, that is the cornerback that was traded from the Kansas City Chiefs to the Tennessee Titans. He was widely regarded as a top 5 corner last season. He's physical, great tackler, really set the culture and identity for Kansas City on defense this season. That was a Super Bowl winning defense, a top 10 unit, really, and it was led by a guy named Chris Jones and then L'Jarius Sneed. And the Titans got that guy, number 38, Sneed, and he spoke today. Not much of a talker, soft-spoken guy, but spoke about family and football and Jesus. That was really the 3 highlights: family, Jesus, and football. And he's really, really, really excited to be here. He said he had some hot chicken. He'd never had some Nashville hot chicken. Said he loved it. Said it was a little hotter than he may get next time. But he just seems excited. He seems locked in, and this was his first day really meeting everyone. I mean, he had not met Callahan, or in person he had not met General Manager Rand Carthon today. So I'm sure it was just kind of a lot of shock, and maybe that's can speak for some of the soft-spokenness from L'Jarius Sneed, just some overwhelmedness. But very excited to have him in the building and in the city, and it's going to be a new-look defense for them this year, so that's exciting. On the basketball end, I talked a little bit about the women's action that was going to go on last night. It lived up to it. I'm telling you, Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese was absolutely jaw-dropping stuff. 37 points, or 40 points, I believe it was, for Caitlin Clark. I got to get it up. Yeah, 40 points, 41 points for Caitlin Clark, 9 for 18 from deep. And she really exploded in the second half. They started off hot. Her team did in the first quarter. They cooled down there in the second. They were up by 2, I believe, at halftime, and she took over. And really, I mean, I don't know why, if you're LSU, you're not doubling her and trapping her off of every screen. They just kind of let her be one-on-one, get screens. They drop coverage, and she'd have it open three-pointers. And, like, you're messing with someone very serious here. This is a woman who has the chance to be the greatest women's basketball player of all time. You know, she's really already showing us that, and she solidified that with a revenge game, lost in the title game in 23 against LSU, gets revenge in the Elite Eight this year, beating Angel Reese. Didn't do any of the trash talk that Angel Reese and LSU did last year. They did a lot of the "you can't see me" John Cena at the end of last year's game. Caitlin Clark kept it classy, didn't say a word. Shook hands after the game, and yeah, she's still got business. She's got 2 more games to go win, get her a title. So good stuff, and we'll look forward to the action this weekend.
All right, sounds good. Well, on that note, let's put away the sport hats and get put on the news hat, because it's time for the news at 5:30 on Super Talk.
$5:30, I'm Mac Morey with your top story. 68 degrees in Nashville. Some strong winds in Murfreesboro currently. Got a tornado watch in effect until 9 p.m. Tracking the radar, but this could pass over a little easier than what we had first imagined. Latest traffic report, weekend or weather forecast in 5 minutes. President Biden has spoken to Chinese President Xi Jinping over the phone today. The White House calling the conversation candid and constructive. More from Selena Wayne, who says that China's actions in the South China Sea, fentanyl production, and China's support of Russia and Ukraine were some of the highlight or likely topics in the conversation.
This really is more of a check-in for these leaders. They are making good on their promise from that summit last November to really just pick up the phone and talk to each other more. Biden and Xi Jinping both understand that there needs to be communication to prevent any miscommunication from veering into actual conflict, with the issue of Taiwan at the center. That is the biggest flashpoint here. This is a democratically self-ruled island that China has vowed to reunify with.
Also possible that they discussed climate change and artificial intelligence. Right now here in Tennessee, a set of Tennessee grandparents has been indicted in the death of their 3-year-old grandson. Hardin County officials say that 3-year-old Carson Brasher was found dead on December 26th of last year. Amy Brasher was indicted on first-degree murder, child abuse, and neglect charges, while Jeff Brasher was charged with child abuse and neglect. It's unclear what the Brashers are accused of doing to the 3-year-old child. And in North Carolina, a man accused of shooting a family dog while delivering groceries at the home. Here's Dave Packer.
Actor Angie Harmon claiming in a social media post that a man delivering groceries for Instacart got out of his car, delivered the food, and then shot and killed her dog. Harmon, who starred in Law & Order and Rizzoli and Isles, says the police let the man go because he claimed self-defense. In a statement, Charlotte Mecklenburg police say no criminal charges will be filed. Instacart confirming they're aware of the incident, and the driver was immediately suspended from the platform.
And that is the latest news. Traffic, weather next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
You know, I think that it's great to go do your shopping at DT McCall's. I mean, I have gone to that place so many times. You walk around my house, and I'll show you, well, that came from DT McCall's, and that came from DT McCall's, and that came from DT McCall's. Appliances, furniture, stuff for the house, mower in the garage. I mean, I've bought so many things there, and it's always been a great experience. You know, they've been around 100 years, more than 100 years, actually. And you don't get to be that successful for that long without having a reputation for treating people right. And that's one of the things I think you'll find. They will treat you right. They'll be honest with you. They're going to tell you what something costs. It's going to be a good price, but then they're not going to jack you around by adding the cost of delivery and setup and haul away. It's all included in that really good price that they give you up front, not like the big box stores. Whenever possible, DT McCall sells products that are made and manufactured in Middle Tennessee. And let me just say, once again, as we move into the spring and it's time to start mowing the yard, if your old mower is worn out, you really owe it to take a look at some of the stuff they have on display down there at DT McCall's, because I'm telling you, they can help you with something that'll get the job done. Find out about their 5 convenient locations and all the things they can do for your home by going to their website, dtmccalls.com. It is 38 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I got to be telling you that I thought this day was going to unfold very differently. I thought we were going to be doing a lot of severe weather coverage because everybody had talked about these storms that were coming through, and it just really hasn't developed the way we thought it was going to develop. Now, that said, we're not completely out of the woods yet. The super tracker things that they have are been very concerned about a line that is now approaching Nashville from the west. If it looks like to me that it's going to skirt just a little to the north of Nashville, downtown Nashville. But I mean, if this is all it is, then I think we're pretty much in the clear after that. So at 5:39, we got about another 25, 30 minutes before this particular line of thunder showers comes through. We got to watch them just a little bit longer. But then after that, I'm going to call it. I'm going to say, I think, because I look behind that and I don't see much.
Yeah,
I don't see much.
Looks clear after that.
Yeah. Now, again, you have to understand this is a massive system. It runs all the way from West Virginia down to Louisiana. I mean, it's a long system. And this was one they thought was going to cause real problems. I mean, school systems, they let the kids out early. A lot of them did, and all that kind of stuff. But it really has not quite developed the way we thought. That said, I'm looking out my window right now, and in bucolic Watertown, it is coming a rain. It is really coming down. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out. Yep. Yeah, I think we're in it. We're in it down here for about another hour, but it just looks like heavy rain. Again, we haven't seen the spin-up tornadoes that we thought. We haven't seen the severe weather. There was, I think, in an earlier thunder shower that came through, a small bit of hail, but nothing big. So we're watching it, but let's give it another 30 minutes, and then I think I'm going to be able to give most people the all clear sign, as this thing moves on out, with heavy rain, and that being just about it. Let's take a look at some of the stuff that's going on locally. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm very concerned about what goes on with very violent people in Nashville who don't seem to be able to stay behind bars. For some reason, I don't know why. There's this guy that they're looking for right now. His name is Anton Rucker, 46 years old. Suspected, he's the main suspect in an incident at a restaurant in the Nashville area this weekend Sunday, where they shot one and killed person. They killed one person and injured 5 others in a shootout. The dead person, Alan Beecham, 33. It was at Roasted, a restaurant in the Salemtown neighborhood of Nashville. He's now on the most wanted list for the TBI right now. His name, Anton Rucker, age 46. If you know something, you should reach out and call the folks at the police department. 6 foot, 208, black male, black hair, brown eyes, should be considered armed and dangerous. I wouldn't say he has a lot of hair. At least in the picture, he's more bald than not. But they really need to find this guy. But what is most concerning to me is when you look at this guy's history, you wonder what in the world was he doing out on a $50,000 bond. Rucker was arrested in Rutherford County last fall on an aggravated assault charge and a felony drug charge, and he was supposed to be in court tomorrow. I'm guessing, Judge, I don't imagine that's going to happen. I think he's absconded. He's broken his bail bond, and he will not probably be there for court tomorrow. But only a $50,000 bond. You say, well, okay, if that was his first offense. Well, sadly, it's not. We have a lot of interesting background on this fellow. Rucker has a criminal history in Davidson County going back to 95, been convicted of a number of felonies, including illegal drug possession, this according to the Tennessee Star, 2 counts of evidence tampering, evading arrest, 5 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Rucker has been convicted of some misdemeanor charges as well. Authorities charged Rucker with attempted first-degree murder in 2000. Attempted first-degree murder in 2000, but they let him plead out to a lesser charge, and he served a 6-year sentence concurrent with another case. In 2008, Rucker opened fire after an argument and sent a woman to Vanderbilt University Medical Center in critical condition. He was then reportedly sentenced to serve 8 years, but was released in 2012. So he served 4 out of 8 years, 50% of his time. 2 years later, Rucker was charged with assaulting a police officer, convicted of a lesser charge, paroled again in 2018. So he's done time, and now he's got this other case out there that's pending, where even before the shooting on Sunday, aggravated assault charge, felony drug charges, and he's out on a $50,000 bond. Now, maybe if that was his first offense, I could see a $50,000 bond. But given all this guy's done and the fact that he's already spent time as a violent criminal behind bars, why would you then release him on what basically he had to come up with $5,000? $50,000 bond. He has to come up with $5,000. Somebody has to come up with $5,000. Not a heavy lift for people who, put it on your credit card, man. I'm telling you, that $5,000 is not that much for him to come up with, given his history. Should he not have had a higher bond? He's a convicted felon. He's not supposed to have a gun. He had one, and now he's on the run. He's on the run, and this is a perfect example of what we've been talking about. Violent criminals don't do their time. They don't do all their time, and then when they get out, and they get into trouble again, light rap on the knuckles, and they'll give them a very small bond. These people are threats to our community. This guy's a bad guy, and all of this history suggested that maybe they should have set the bond a little higher. Again, if this were in isolation, I'd say, oh well, this one slipped through the cracks. How many times have I told some variation of this story? I mean, it's like I could do one every week. This is a guy who went out and shot some people, and he had a long history. I mean, his rap sheet is as long as my arm, and as you know, I have extremely long arms. I'm telling you, I could tell that story every week. We are not doing what we need to do as a community to put these people behind bars, to adjudicate the cases in a way that they don't get out in a couple of years. Do your time, man. Make them do their time. Keep them off the streets. Help make the community more safe. The mayor, Freddie, we got to do something about all these guns. Okay. That's not it. It's the people who use the guns that we need to keep behind bars. Here's another version of the story. Fox 17. According to a criminal background report from TBI, Rucker's convictions go back to 1997 and get increasingly serious over the years. He was recently arrested in Rutherford County this past October, now facing 3 counts of selling drugs. Rucker's also facing other charges there stemming from last summer, including aggravated assault and possession of a gun by a convicted felon. They had him out. Aggravated assault and possession of a gun by a convicted felon. He was out on bond, and he had a weapon. Rucker's wanted in connection with homicide. There is a $2,500 reward for information leading to his arrest. They got his car. They don't know where he is. And that's all they're saying right now. But I'm telling you, it's aggravating that we don't. I don't. Is it the judges? Is it I think that's part of the problem. Is it an unwillingness to hold people accountable, and rather than try these cases, to plead them out for a lesser charge? I think that's part of the problem. And then and once they get to jail, make them serve the entire sentence. I mean, that seems like it would be helpful, right? Keep them away from the general public as long as you possibly can. I don't know. It's just maddening. The other story that sort of still catches my attention, and I don't know why they're not doing something about it. Well, they are doing something about it. Not to say it's not being investigated, but I don't think it's being investigated in the right way. It was this incident that occurred in Wilson County on Easter morning, just after 6 o'clock in Mount Juliet. Somebody rolled a trailer full of Bibles into a major intersection near the Global Vision Bible Church and set it afire. Corner of Old Lebanon Dirt Road and Chandler Road in Wilson County, firefighters were called to the scene, extinguished the flames. Detectives were brought in and discovered it was a trailer full of Bibles that had been set on fire. It's ridiculous anybody would want to do that for any reason, said the guy by the name of Ingram, who was not identified in the story in another way. Stopped the vehicle right there, got out, detached the trailer, threw gasoline on it, and lit it and left, said Sergeant Scott Moore, analyzing the footage. Okay, I'm glad they're investigating it. They pulled the trailer in. They're doing an analysis of it. They're trying to figure out. There's apparently an out-of-state license on the trailer. Was the trailer stolen? And is there going to be any track down of who owns the trailer? I suppose that would be the first thing I would do. But the thing that bothers me most about this is that it should be investigated by the FBI, in my estimation, as a hate crime. Unless you have some indication that it's not what it appears to be, it should be investigated as a hate crime. Imagine for just a moment that somebody pulled up in front of the Islamic Center of Nashville and set a trailer full of Quran on fire. Now, there would be an immediate reaction, and immediately they would talk about what a hateful hate crime this is. If something were happened, to deface a Jewish synagogue in our community, and again, that would be a horrible thing, but I mean, if it were to happen, it would be investigated as a hate crime. Why is this not being investigated by the FBI as a hate crime? Where is the FBI on this? Why aren't they there? Why aren't they looking into this? Why is it just being investigated as, well, it's an arson. It's a hate crime. And I think that it should be investigated as such. The fact that it's not just baffles me, quite frankly. 51 minutes past the hour, 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Grace Point Healthcare is the standard for affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine. How does that work? Well, as a direct pay provider, your health care is delivered without the red tape of an insurer's guidelines. I hate those. Smart Care plans make it even more affordable. Starting at $69 a month, you get free office visits and free basic labs for an entire year. $69 a month. Grace Point identifies and treats the root causes of conditions, not just the symptoms, utilizing a comprehensive and functional approach. And by usually seeing you the same or maybe the next day in some cases, you're treated at your convenience. Grace Point Healthcare is affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. They're located on Main Street in Franklin. Here's the number, 615-599-6868. That's 599-6868 to schedule an appointment.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
An update on the Israel-Hamas war as the United States is urging a full-on investigation into the World Central Kitchen as some chefs were killed over there. A man shot at a grocery store parking lot. That shooter still at large here in Tennessee, and we are learning about moon time. It's all at 6 o'clock. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, we're keeping an eye on the weather. There's one big line of thunder showers still to come through, and it's just not, I don't think it's developing the way we thought it would, but let's keep an eye on it. They say that line will be reaching the downtown Nashville area somewhere around 6 o'clock. Well, actually, probably about 6:30 now. So let's keep an eye on that. Otherwise, things are looking pretty good. Just a lot of rain. We'll have another hour of the drive coming up after the news. 57 minutes. Let's call it 58 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Six o'clock, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Currently 69 degrees in Tennessee. We've got a tornado watch in all of Middle Tennessee until 9 p.m. And looking south of Nashville, Lincoln County, a tornado warning just put up there in Lincoln County. Again, tracking these storms. Looks like the front could hit in the next 20 to 30 minutes right now. Looking like it could more than likely going to be just wind and some rain and thunder. Traffic weather forecast coming up 5 minutes away. The U.S. urging Israel to conduct a full investigation after 7 aid workers from World Central Kitchen were killed by an IDF strike in Gaza. Chef Jose Andres, who runs the organization, posting on social media that he's grieving for the families and that the bloodshed needs to stop. Here's Karen Travers.
President Biden spoke with Jose Andres to share his condolences after the deaths of 7 aid workers with the chef's World Central Kitchen. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre.
The president felt it was important to recognize the tremendous contribution World Central Kitchen has made to the people in Gaza and people around the world.
Jean-Pierre said the president told Andres he will make clear to Israel that humanitarian aid workers must be protected.
Back here in Tennessee, a 58-year-old man was shot yesterday in the parking lot of a Food Lion grocery store. This happened in Hermitage. That shooter at large. Officials say the suspect is 6'2", in his 20s. He had short dreads. He was wearing a black hoodie, gray jeans, and a ski mask. He allegedly approached the victim in the parking lot, tried to rob him. That victim was shot in the jaw, but is expected to recover. The suspect fled on foot down Bell Road after attempting to carjack a woman in the parking lot. And just as we're getting used to setting our clocks ahead an hour, the White House wants to create an entirely new way of telling time on the moon. Andy Field.
NASA says moon travelers can't really answer the question. So the White House is telling the space agency to figure it out.
Houston, we have a problem.
According to a memo obtained by Reuters, NASA's been asked to come up with a way to tell time on the moon, which, because of its gravity and rotation, is different than our 24-hour Earth cycle. An Earth-based clock would seem to lose nearly 60 microseconds per Earth day. No word whether there'll be an app for that on your smartphone.
And in Tennessee, the mayor of Coffee County, 53-year-old Judd Matheny, was found dead in his home overnight today. No cause of death revealed. The TBI now investigating. The former state representative for areas of Warren and Coffee counties. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Hey, good evening, everybody. It's 7 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, bringing you news and information, and we're watching the weather. I think we're going to be okay. I don't know, Chris. I mean, you take a look at the radar. We've been watching this one line of thunder showers, and it sounds as if, and it looks as if, not didn't sound as if, it looks as if. I think that we're gonna skate by. I think that there's one little cluster of thunderstorms that it'd be just north of Dixon right now. It's going to slide to the north of Nashville proper, downtown Nashville, and then there's sort of a gap. And then I think once that last little line pushes through, I think we're done.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like to me, too. I mean, some of the counties in our southernmost area of the parts of the listening area may have some more severe or larger group clusters of severe storms, but I don't think we're going to see anything on the tornadic level. It doesn't look like it at this point anyway.
Yeah, that's my sense of it. I think we're going to have some thunder showers, and then I think in about an hour, most of this stuff is going to have, be pretty much through the Nashville area, moving off to the east slowly, and there'll be some more rain, and there'll be some more thunder showers and some lightning. Yep. But I just don't see anything developing like they thought might develop today.
Yep. And speaking of, the National Weather Service has just issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Sumner, Cheatham, Davidson, and Robertson. That's lasts through 6:52 p.m. tonight.
All right, so that's that storm we're watching. That one storm. That's exactly what we're looking at. That's going to skate a little north of Nashville, I think. So we'll keep an eye on that one. I mean, that one is the last thing that even gives me a little bit of concern on the radar right now. So we'll keep an eye on it, and if it happens, we'll let you know. I want to very quickly. There is a developing story here. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, according to the Tennessee Star, investigating the death of Coffee County Mayor Judd Matheny, found deceased inside his home by the Tullahoma Police Department on Tuesday. He served as a Republican member of the Tennessee House of Representatives. He was elected mayor of Coffee County in August of 22. Just after 2 p.m., they said that Matheny was discovered deceased by officers at his home, located at 1909 East Lincoln Street, after the department received reporting a possible death. They got a call, and it's an ongoing investigation. And, of course, this is a guy who was well-known in political circles. Tributes are pouring in. But, again, the TBI is investigating. We'll keep an eye on that. Tennessee Representative Mark Green and John Rose released statements on Matheny's death. Green said, Cammie and I join Tennesseans in praying for the family and loved ones of Coffee County Mayor Judd Matheny, a statesman, a businessman, farmer. His service as mayor and state representative will not be forgotten. Rose called Matheny's death an unexpected and tragic loss, adding that the mayor will be remembered by many for his decades of public service, both at the county and state level. I hope you will join me in praying for the family and friends in the days ahead. But again, Judd Matheny, found deceased in his home, and the TBI is investigating. I want to talk a little bit about things that go horribly wrong that the Democrats come up with. Let's start with this. Pete Buttigieg, the Secretary of Transportation, is a big pusher of this idea that we should have electric vehicles. Everybody, he's the guy behind it. Let's have electric vehicles. Well, I mean, apparently there was a major decision today that came down yesterday from a court saying that these mileage requirements that the Biden administration was placing on car makers, they've been brought into question in a court of law, and they may not stand. But nonetheless, there's no doubt that the Biden administration is all about the electric vehicle. Pete Buttigieg was on Fox News, and he got asked about that.
Tesla sales fell 8.5% the first quarter of this year. Ford this week is laying off 2/3 of its workforce at the F-150 electric Lightning plant. It's also scaling back a battery production facility because of sagging sales. EV sales are nowhere near what this president wanted or expected, yet the administration continues to shove them down consumers' throats. Why?
Well, let's be clear. Consumers have wanted and purchased more EVs every single year than the year before.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's very large numbers. That's not saying much. I mean, he's twisting the numbers there.
And, Tesla is facing more competition as GM and Ford and Stellantis and other competitive players start to make sure they get a piece of the EV market.
But, I mean, each of those companies that he mentioned, GM, Ford, Stellantis, they're all saying the same thing. We can't sell the electric cars. He's not telling the truth here.
Let's be clear that the automotive sector is moving toward EVs, and we can't pretend otherwise. Sometimes when these debates happen, I feel like it's the early 2000s, and I'm talking to some people who think that we can just have landline phones forever.
Yeah, okay. Pete Buttigieg. Over at the White House, Peter Doocy was asking questions about threats from the border, which I think is the major question of the day, quite frankly. And are we concerned about terror threats? John Kirby was taking questions, and here's what he said.
As the person in charge of preventing a terrorist attack in the homeland, does President Biden think that some of these border crossers could be in the United States right now plotting a terrorist attack?
The president's confident that throughout the interagency, DHS, intelligence community, that we're doing everything we can to be as vigilant as we can to ensure the safety and security of the American people here at home.
We're doing everything we can to be absolutely assured that we're tracking these people down. But, well, okay, and I'm sure that there are very dedicated men and women who are out there working hard every day to try to, put this genie back in the bottle, to try to make sure that, people who got to cross the border, that we're doing what we can to track them down. But here's the problem. How do you track down somebody that you don't know anything about? How do you track down 1.8 million people who came across this country and never had any contact with law enforcement? 140,000 have come across just since last October. Those are the known gotaways, and you add 20% to that for the unknown gotaways, ones that you never even knew came across. And, they like you to think that, well, we know about the gotaways, we just couldn't get to them. You don't know about all of them. You certainly don't. And those people that came across you don't have any idea who they are. You don't have any idea where they are. You have no idea what they're up to. And so, this whole idea that we're trying to do everything we possibly can to keep this from getting out of control, well, that's all good and fine. But the way you keep this thing from getting out of control is you shut down the border and make sure that nobody's coming across that you don't know something about. Again, it just baffles me. We talked about the defund the police movement and how Democrats were all for that. And you know what? Then we saw crime in places like L.A. and San Francisco and the Pacific Northwest, where all of these defund the police things took hold. We saw crime skyrocket. And here's another one. Traffic fatalities have gone up. Why? Well, police weren't enforcing the laws. There aren't many police. They'd funded the police. There were fewer police on the street. Nobody out there enforcing the traffic laws. And when nobody's enforcing the traffic laws, then I'll tell you, for sure, people are going to violate those laws, especially speed laws. There was a horrific crash in San Francisco last month, writes hotair.com. A 78-year-old woman driving a Mercedes crashed into a bus stop where the family of four was waiting as they took a trip to the zoo. The driver, Mary Fong Lau, had been booked on suspicion of felony vehicular manslaughter, felony reckless driving, causing bodily injury, and additional traffic violations that included driving at an unsafe speed. Lau was initially under arrest in the hospital, released from custody as the investigation in the crash continued beyond the initial 48 hours, but as eyewitnesses had claimed the driver was speeding, a report said she was driving on the wrong side of the road. The death of this entire family has put a spotlight on the city's efforts to reduce traffic fatalities with something they called 10 years ago, Vision Zero Pledge. Why hasn't that done anything? Well, apparently the answer many people are coming to there in San Francisco is that there are too few officers writing far too few traffic tickets. And as with any other type of law enforcement, if people believe there are no consequences to breaking the rules get broken a lot. San Francisco wants law and order, but increasing what it has is just law and no order because nobody's enforcing the law. Look, I don't want to be hassled to death by somebody and have a police state. Nobody wants that. But what we do need to know is that people, that there is a thin blue line of people that are out there to make sure that we're safe. And part of making sure that people are safe is enforcing traffic laws. And when you defund the police, as they have in many places around the country, you run the risk of people becoming more criminal enterprises will fill that vacuum. I'm sorry to say, it's just human nature. If you don't enforce the law, then the chaos soon ensues. Let's talk about this for a moment. The Oregon governor has just signed a bill not to decriminalize drugs because they already did that. They are recriminalizing hard drugs because they had an experiment, a liberal experiment to decriminalize all of these hardcore drugs. If you had hardcore drugs on your possession, they weren't going to arrest you. They weren't going to charge you. They just really sort of decided to have this experiment because drug addiction is not a crime. Well, okay, I understand all that, but you know what? Having nobody enforcing the laws, you had I forgot. Here it is. Yeah, fentanyl overdoses in the community went up 533%. And with drugs comes crime. And even though 58% of Oregonians voted to try this experiment to liberalize drug use and not charge anybody for possession of illegal drugs, they have about 6 months later, they had another test of it after things sort of devolved. And almost that same number said, no, let's go back to what we had before, please, because it's out of control. These liberal experiments do not work, whether it's defunding the police, whether it's decriminalization of drugs. They just don't seem to work. It is now 20 minutes past the hour at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Yeah, I want some exciting news for you. If you've lived here in Middle Tennessee, you know for some time about URFARB. They've been here for some 24 years as your place to go for European car repairs. We've gotten to watch them grow. Well, I don't know about you, but I love it when a hometown business does well. And the folks at URFARB are now proud to announce the 5th location of the URFARB at Mount Juliet, right across from the Dairy Queen. URFARB can now serve you in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belle Meade, and now, of course, in Mount Juliet. It's pretty cool getting to watch a small-town mechanic, started in a barn in the backyard of a single-wide trailer, grow to 5 locations repairing thousands of cars each month. At URFARB, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair. Call this number to set up your appointment, 844-URFARB. That's 844-URFARB, or visit myurafix.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandison. I love My Patriot Supply. It's emergency food so you can care for your family no matter what. And today, we're fixing creamy chicken-flavored rice. And the thing I love about My Patriot Supply, it's easy. You just get the water, turn on the heat, and in minutes, we are ready to go. Now, this food lasts for 25 years in special packaging, and yes, it does taste great. And in just minutes, it's ready to eat. Patriots don't rely on the government to take care of their family in emergencies. It's up to you. Order right now and get $200 off a 3-month food kit. It's important to go to preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. That's preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. Preparewithmandis.com, $200 off a 3-month food kit.
All right, well, let's talk weather for just a moment because we're watching one little thunderstorm, which is moving north of Nashville now. There is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Sumner and Robertson County, and that is that storm. And once it passes in the next few minutes, right now, no tornadic activity, just a heavy thunderstorm, something to be aware of, but not tornadic activity. And once that sort of pushes through, it'll go north into Kentucky, and I pretty much think that's done.
Yeah. And speaking of Kentucky, for any of our listeners up north of the border, we do have a tornado warning in the Bowling Green area until 6:45. Yeah. That's Allen, Logan, Simpson, and Warren counties.
Yeah, that's right. But, there is bad tornadic activity to the south and some up north.
Yeah.
But Middle Tennessee has been blessed, it seems, today.
Thus far,
We'll knock on wood thus far. It looks like we're going to be sliding through here in just a few moments and then be done. So I'm not quite ready to call it, but, the fat lady hasn't sung yet, but she's warming up. What? I don't know how that's a bad analogy. I
don't think you can even say that anymore.
The fat boy is warming up is what he's doing. Okay. We need to send this to Dan Mandis. A new study shows that cinnamic acid, a derivative of cinnamon bark, could promote hair growth. Cinnamic acid is naturally found in cinnamon, which is derived from the tree bark. I did not know that. It is an antioxidant phytochemical with protective effects against certain diseases like diabetes. Chinese cinnamon has been shown to have an analgesic property against colds and shoulder and back and joint pain. It's also been used in cosmetics for its anti-aging effects. Research indicates that cinnamic acid promotes the expression of oxytocin receptors, and oxytocin enhances skin elasticity. However, oxytocin molecules themselves are too large and break up to be absorbed by human skin. But they have now found that this particular type of cinnamic acid, a smaller molecule, might be able to help promote growth by activating oxytocin in a way that it can be absorbed by the skin. 25% increase in hair shaft length.
Are you supposed to ingest it or just rub it all over your head?
I think it's a topical.
Yeah.
Made out of cinnamon, cinnamic acid. I never heard of such a thing.
If you come across Dan Mandis in the next few weeks and he smells strongly of cinnamon, you'll know why.
We pick on Dan, but I don't think Dan cares.
I think he's happier without it, without the hair. Yeah. One less thing he's got. Well, he does. I think he does pine for the days of the mullet every once in a while, though. He had a pretty good one back in the day.
Yeah, have you seen pictures of when he was a young man?
I have.
He was a hairy dude, man. He had a lot of hair.
It was flowing.
Yeah, it was. Wild, beautiful hair. But anyway, so don't tell him I said that because he'll think I'm picking on him. I'm not picking on him. We do pick on Dan quite a bit, but you know what? Such a good goose. He's such a good goose about it. Let's see. What else? I don't know. We got a couple of minutes here to kill. Let me see what I can dig up here. Excuse me for just a moment while I turn around. Let's see what we got down here. Yeah, here we go. I don't know what to think about this, and people are going to get mad at me, but Tennessee lawmakers have voted to ban what they call geoengineering. But what they're really talking about is this controversial thing known as chemtrails. The Tennessee State House of Representatives passed a bill Monday designed to prevent geoengineering, which is the practice of intentionally modifying the atmosphere to counteract global warming. And there are some people who've wondered, theoretically, whether or not this is something that we should do, but I can find no indication that indeed it's actually been tried out, that people are actually spraying the atmosphere and trying to reduce global warming. And what people get upset about is something that I don't know where this came from. I'm having a hard time understanding this one. Maybe I don't read the right websites. I'm sure that's it. But, what they see is, the planes, when you see the planes way up in the sky and there's those trails behind them. Yes, Well, and that's the government. They're spraying us. And I go, no, those are contrails. Those have been around. I mean, I remember them when I was a kid, and they certainly weren't doing this back when I was a child. It's vapor that comes off the jet engines, the heat of burning fuel that relieves leaves a little bit of moisture, which then crystallizes and forms ice crystals, and you can see them at high altitudes where the atmosphere is very cold. There are contrails from the jet engines. Why is it that everybody all of a sudden thinks the thing that we've been seeing forever is some kind of attack on the homeland? I don't get it. But Tennessee has passed a bill that said you cannot spray anything in the atmosphere in the state of Tennessee. I don't get it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's something we need to be concerned about. But and people I know right now on the hotline, they're yelling at me, aren't they?
I'm not going there. Not going there.
Okay, folks. Convince me that I'm wrong, but I don't. You can do. Just send me some email. Let me know how I'm wrong. It's 30 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. The chairman of the Federal Reserve has said that we're on an unsustainable fiscal path. We aren't going to pay off that $34 trillion debt anytime soon. And you know what the government will do? They'll just print more money to pay the interest on the debt. and that debases the U.S. dollar. Have you thought about buying something that would hold its value, something that's real, tangible, that you can hold in your hand? I'm talking about precious metals. Maybe you've thought about adding gold or other precious metals to your portfolio, but you feel like you don't have the knowledge to make a smart decision. Well, I felt that way for sure, but I got the professional guidance I needed at Nashville Gold and Coin. And so you make an appointment. You sit down one-on-one with my friends at Nashville Gold and Coin. They'll answer all your questions and help you make the precious metals investment that is right for you. It's friendly, you will learn a ton, and you'll never be subjected to a high-pressure sales pitch. Gold and silver can be a safe haven for in uncertain economic times, and my friends at Nashville Gold and Coin are standing by to answer all your questions. To set up your one-on-one appointment, just go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldandCoin.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandison. I love My Patriot Supply. It's emergency food so you can care for your family no matter what. And today, we're fixing creamy chicken-flavored rice. And the thing I love about My Patriot Supply, it's easy. You just get the water, turn on the heat, and in minutes, we are ready to go. Now, this food lasts for 25 years in special packaging, and yes, it does taste great. And in just minutes, it's ready to eat. Patriots don't rely on the government to take care of their family in emergencies. It's up to you. Order right now and get $200 off a 3-month food kit. It's important to go to preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. That's preparewithmandis.com to get that great discount. Preparewithmandis.com. $200 off a 3-month food kit.
It is 38 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. We've been watching the weather, keeping an eye on things, and I don't know, this storm that's going through Sumner and Robertson right now, north of Nashville, and seems to be okay. And then there's a big gap, and there's only one thing that's sort of catching my attention right now, and that is a line of thunder showers that are developing just east of Memphis. And those are sort of blowing up pretty quick. And let's see, I'm just trying to figure out, I think they would probably, if they stayed on course, they would probably pass through south of Nashville later tonight. But otherwise, I think we're in pretty good shape. We have not had, we've had some thunder showers, had some lightning, had some light hail in some areas, some wind, no doubt. Right now, really, I'm looking at my window, and man, the Bradford pears are bouncing around. There's good enough for them. If they just knock them down, it'd save me a lot of trouble.
Just do it for you, yeah.
Just blow them over, would you please? And then I don't have to pay to have them cut down. No, I mean it's still gusty and it's still raw out there. And again, it's not to say that there aren't thunderstorms, but it just doesn't seem like we've had any of the sort of tornadic activity that many had anticipated, and that's a good thing, as we say.
Not in Middle Tennessee, at least. We have had a couple of small warnings up in the Bowling Green area, and then the one down on just south of the Tennessee state line, down in the, I guess it's kind of like the Athens, Alabama area.
Yeah. So I think what we'll probably do is we'll probably go ahead and stay on the air until 7 o'clock, and then we'll go ahead and let Mark Levin take it. But if we need to come back, you know that we will, and we need, we'll come back in here and cover it. If let's say that that thunderstorm down south becomes more of a problem than we anticipate, we'll jump back on the air in a hot minute. So keep your radio handy. But I think, I'm not a meteorologist, but it looks to me like we'll be able to call this mostly done here in a few minutes. I don't know. That one down south is really blowing up in a hurry, isn't it? Are you looking at that one?
The one that's back west, to the west?
Yeah, to the west. It's southwest.
Mm-hmm.
It's just below a little town called Bolivar. South of Bolivar, Tennessee. Yeah, that one is, we'll keep an eye on that one. That one has come out of nowhere, actually. Just there it is. All of a sudden, that's the official meteorological term for when a storm blows up. It's just blows up. Okay, let me give you some stories while we're waiting on, that. We'll keep an eye on that. This story about our border situation really is very angering. It really is. Biden, we've been trying to track this down for some time now. We have known that the Biden administration was flying. Well, I don't know. We talked somewhere around 370,000 people directly into the country from foreign countries. So if you, instead of having them go to the border and come across the river and get counted in those numbers, they said if you download this certain app and you make your application, we'll approve you and you can come on into the country if you can fly in directly. And we'll fly you in, I guess. I think they're being flown in at taxpayer expenses, the way it appears. But again, some of the details about this are murky. And we know, where are they bringing them in? Where are they bringing them in? The vast majority of them are being brought into Florida. At least 326,000 illegals were flown into Florida by the Biden administration in a secretive program. And the story that I'm reading from the Daily Fed says, well, Republican lawmakers haven't done much about it. Well, I'm telling you something. Well, we didn't know much about it, and we just only learned about it a short time ago. I know that Mark Green and others have been asking the Biden administration for details, and it's not been forthcoming. 326,000 we now know were flown into Florida, I assume into Miami. And then there are 21,000, almost 22,000 that were flown into Houston, Texas, sort of flying them into the states that have governors who've been most critical of their whole proposal. Washington Examiner has reported this. The Biden administration program of secretly flying illegal immigrants directly from Latin America to U.S. cities dumps over 90% in hubs of two southern states governed by the president's harshest border critics, according to government data. Some 347,959 migrants allowed into the secretive system fly directly to airports in Florida and Texas, with Florida receiving the vast majority. It's unclear how many of the immigrants fly on to other U.S. cities, though the government has said there are over 40 final destinations. The early evidence suggests that a great many of these inadmissible alien passengers, probably a majority, initially land at international airports in Florida and in Texas. Last September, the Biden administration launched this program, allowing immigrants to drive directly from their country of origin to the U.S. city of their choice. According to the Center for Immigration Studies, over 210,000 applicants have been processed since January, which is a population roughly the size of Rochester, New York. Wow. Again, we don't know. I just want to stay on this story because there's a lot about this story that we don't know. And it's been like pulling teeth to get information out of the government about it. We'll continue to watch it. Rates of suicide attempts doubled after gender reassignment surgery. This from the Epoch Times. Research shows a surgical procedure called a vaginoplasty, used to help males transition to females, can result in numerous complications. Attempted suicide rates among people who identified as transgender more than doubled after receiving vaginoplasty, according to a peer review study and the Journal of Urology. The study analyzed the rates of psychiatric emergencies before and after gender-altering surgery among 869 males who underwent the procedure and 350 females who went under the opposite surgery in California from 2012 to 2018. Researchers found the rates of psychiatric emergencies were high both before and after gender-altering surgery, with similar rates overall in both groups. However, suicide groups were markedly higher in those that received vaginoplasties. In fact, our observed rate of suicide attempts for the women group was similar to the general population, but for the men's group, it was more than double that of the general population. Of 869 patients who underwent vaginoplasty, I hope I'm saying that right, 38 patients attempted suicide, 9 attempted before surgery, 25 after surgery, 4 attempts before and after surgery. Which would suggest to me, I mean, I'm no expert on it, but it would seem to me that there is a mental illness component to this, a depression component to it, perhaps. I don't know. But in an interview with the Epoch Times, Dr. Alfonso Oliva, a board-certified plastic and reconstructive surgeon, said research in the psychiatric outcomes and long-term follow-ups of those who have sex reassignment surgery is lacking, but an important paper is worth mentioning. In a 2011 paper published in something called PLOS 1, researchers found that people who underwent sex reassignment surgery had substantial higher rates of overall mortality, suicide behavior, and psychiatric morbidity compared with the general population. President Biden today did something he has not done in some time now. He got on the phone with President Xi of China to talk about areas of cooperation and areas of difference, including Beijing's recent aggression toward Taiwan and support for Russia's defense industrial base, as the Western world punishes Moscow for its invasion of Ukraine, this according to the White House. The leaders wanted to follow up on a November summit in California when the countries agreed to cooperate on stemming the flow of fentanyl and precursor chemicals from China to Mexico and discuss the risk from artificial intelligence, plus the need for military-to-military communication. That, believe me, is really important. Also, Mr. Biden raised concerns over how China, its backing of Russia's military machine, affects transatlantic security, and he emphasized the United States' enduring commitment to complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. Further, Mr. Biden warned Mr. Xi not to engage in unfair trade practices. Oh, that'll change his mind. Many worry that Chinese steal intellectual property. Worry, they do. They're the world's worst at it. You ever notice how you look at American fighter jets, and in about 2 or 3 years, you look at Chinese fighter jets, and they look just like American fighter jets? You ever notice the same thing with Russia? There is something to watch very closely in the Mideast, and I'll see if I can get to this in the time that's left. Israel attacked, did an airstrike in Syria and killed an Iranian general who is actively involved in support of the proxy groups that are things like Hezbollah, etc. And this guy named Mohammad Reza Zahidi and Senior Commander Mohammad Hadi Rami were killed in the strike in Syria. And Iran is pretty upset about it, says that they're going to take it out on Israel. Now, if Iran gets into directly with Israel, that would be bad. That'd be a bad situation. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said Israel would be punished for the attack while the president said it will not go unanswered. Israeli military told CNN it does not comment on foreign reports. However, a military spokesman said Israel believes the target struck was a military building of Quds Forces, a unit of the IRGC responsible for foreign operations aimed at Israel. Four unnamed Israeli officials acknowledged that Israel carried out the attack. However, others could not verify that through regular sources. Watch that. It may be just a lot of hot talk, but if that were to happen, if Israel and Iran get into it directly, it would inflame the entire region. Meanwhile, senators urge Biden to halt armed deliveries to Israel. 7 Democrat senators, including Chris Van Hollen, Jeff Merkley, Tina Smith, Ben Ray Lujan, along with independent Bernie Sanders, have written to Biden telling him his government current policy contradicts the U.S. Foreign Policy Assistance Act. They don't want to send any more arms to Israel. Okay. That's it. We're watching the weather right now, and we'll get back to you if we feel like we need to jump back in. We will jump back in. Right now, it's 50 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. You know, one of the things I love most about Genesis Diamonds is the laid-back feel, the vibe, the relaxed feeling you get when you walk in. There are no commissioned salespeople at Genesis, never 1 ounce of pressure or intimidation. If you are a diamond expert or you don't know anything about diamonds, they'll make you feel at home and at ease. And you can see a wide array of GIA-certified diamonds in your price range, every shape. Or if you're looking for the lab-grown diamonds, Genesis has those at, well, and here's the thing, the prices will be way below what others are selling them for. Be careful there. And when it comes to the ring, Genesis has all the ring designers that other stores can't even get. All the top brands from trusted, renowned designers like Tacori and Viraggio. Plus free service for life on any purchase. Designer jewelers that you can't find at other stores. A 110% diamond upgrade guarantee. This is Nashville's premier jeweler, voted time and time again as the best place to buy an engagement ring and best jewelry store in Middle Tennessee. As you know, there are 2 locations. Go see them in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.